So hello and welcome. You are on a live Google Hangout, and our focus today is the energy of healing. Oh, it's such a beautiful energy. And I just
Right?
want to invite you all in to the energy of healing. We're going to go through chapters in the new book, and I have authors beyond belief. Tamara Young is my first author. Oh, welcome.
Hello. I
Yeah.
have deja vu right now because when we did this before, it was for the Happiness Summit, and when we did it before that, it was having a conversation about this book that is now there in your very hands.
I know. The energy of this book it's very loving. So this book would like to invite the conversation of what is it to heal. And Tamara, I'm not going to do the bio introductions. I'm just going to have you say, what is it in that space when we're young, in that space when it's like we're so in the wrongness of us that we can't see the rightness of us.
Yeah.
And one of the things you teach just so beautifully, and in your beautiful chapter, I'll just hold it up again. I'll find your chapter, and just maybe share with us that kind of thing that we do where we can start the healing.
Well, I know I don't have a whole lot. I could talk about this for a long time. As I've said,
I know.
You know me. No, I can get right there. There it is. Woohoo!
Yeah, I very intentionally gave you the first space because I feel like the healing road to home is it's just such an amazing gift when you start asking questions about it. So
it is, and healing could mean so many things, right? Like I know that there are so many different stories in the book of different ways of healing, different aspects of us that can be healed. And I know that when I was writing my chapter, I looked at what was it that I was looking for sort of all my life. What was the thing? And it was to heal. Like probably the most succinctly that I could say this is this sense of feeling lost and abandoned and alone. Like that was my experience from day one on the planet. Right?
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and I know I'm not the only one who feels that way or has felt that way. So that was really what inspired me to contribute this chapter, because that is sort of the journey that I've been through. The title of the chapter being The Healing Road to Home. And it's discovering what it is to, I mean, it sounds so cliche to say find myself, because it was so much more than that. It was this reunion with being, if you will. And that has given me a sense of home like nothing I've ever known before. And any feelings of loss or being lost or abandoned or alone have disappeared, gone. And it's just such a luscious, delicious place to live now, knowing that I have me, I have being. And that's kind of the synopsis, if you will, what inspired me to contribute the chapter, and sort of a glimpse maybe into what the chapter is about.
You know, tell me when you talk about sort of incarceration to playground, because I've lived in incarceration and, I've never been, arrested. Well, I can't say I've never been arrested. I've mostly never been arrested, but I've never been behind bars. And yet I lived for so long in kind of a prison that wasn't really living. And I made choices that were so, like when I look back at how small I stayed, or how afraid I was of being myself, afraid I was of healing. And it's like, if I heal, even from eating, if I get too thin, will I get too pretty? If I do this, will I be too that? If I do this, will I be too much? If I'm my true self, and I rap, like I'm like not like everyone else. And so if I'm my true self and I'm like jamming, like how do I shift where that's okay to be so different?
Yeah, because consensus is king, mainstream is queen. And so, if you're not fitting in, then that does give us a sense of alienation and isolation and feeling alone. And we're not meant to be the same as normal, average, real, the same as everybody else. We're meant to be unique. We're meant to shine as the unique individual that we be in our choices and our expression and whatever that is. So it's almost like every time you just begin to risk and dare to be you and allow all of that to shine, it's almost as if something comes along and says, oh, no, you don't you dare, don't even think about it, you know? And so for me, it took a lot of kind of at the foundation, trusting me, like redeveloping that trusting me to sort of develop an inner confidence. That's it's even more than confidence. It's an inner sense of, well, I called it, you know, being home. that inner sense that when I'm home to being, nothing can take that away from me. Nothing from the outside could ever, you know, quote unquote, threaten my sense of space and ease and peace and joy in being. And when I have that, I have everything. And everything else, you know, everything that comes into my life, everything that I welcome into my life is sort of like the cherry on top. It's the joy of being here in a body, the joy of embodiment. How much fun can we have? Right?
You know, you talk about, in your chapter, you talk about healing and intimacy. And, you know, intimacy for me, it's like, whoa, you know, like, first of all, intimacy with someone else is like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hurt, you know? It's like, and I'm not saying I'll never be intimate again. When you talk, and I'm messing with people, but when you talk about it, just share kind of your delicious intimacy, because in the book on I'll just hold it, I'll put the camera on me for a second.
There it is again.
Yeah, I'm just going to show that, and then I'm going to show the back with the beautiful authors, and there's your lovely face, and I'm just so blessed to have brought the authors and the stories into this book. I really feel like I get this from a real high place. And so, but why don't you just kind of take us into sort of like that whole thing of intimacy, which you just aren't scared. You're not scared to go there.
No, I'm, you know, some people think I'm crazy to go there. I'm not scared to go there. As a matter of fact, I'm so drawn in, I can't not go there. It's almost, I think because for so long, for the majority of my life, I spent I was separating from being. I was moving away in order to try and fit in or get it right or seek approval or not get hurt, like you're talking about.
Definitely.
And it's amazing how much that separation over, you know, decade after decade after decade, there was this yearning that ultimately could not be denied. And that yearning was to discover that space of home that I talk about in the chapter. And intimacy is what I learned through the 5 elements of intimacy with Access Consciousness. And their honor, trust, allowance, vulnerability, and gratitude. And I truly did diligently play with these 5 energies for several years to discover what it was to be intimate with me, to pull back, you know, everywhere there was shame or everywhere there was judgment or everywhere where it was like, oh no, I can't let anyone see that. And the interesting thing, it wasn't even so much about I can't let other people see that. It was like I can't allow myself to even know that that's there. Here's my cat saying hello, as he likes.
I love your cat.
He likes to be part of the hangout too.
Yeah, baby.
So as I developed this intimacy with myself and really being willing to look at everything and receive all of it. It's not just look at it, it's actually be an allowance of it, number one. To me, allowance is sort of the gateway to greater receiving, and then receive all of it. And as I'm receiving all of that energy of being, I come to recognize, oh, wait, being is not, the energy of being here, like an awareness of my being, is not really separate from anything else. So this sense of separation is such an illusion. So as I choose greater and greater intimacy of being, I recognize that includes everything. That actually includes and I mean, when I say everything, I mean everything in existence, whether it's other people, whether it's the situations and circumstances that are arising around me, whether it's my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, whether it's just, all energies of every kind, as opposed to, oh no, I don't like this and I don't want that. It's receiving everything. And I've certainly reached no destination. I'm not at this place where I'm like, okay, hold on, awesome, I'm done. I think to discover that intimacy of being is just the start.
We have a few minutes left, and give us some kind of things, like give us a tool. Give us a tool. Give us something we could just like sink our teeth into.
It's funny. This morning, I have a radio show called The Playground of Possibilities, and this morning, what came up was I was talking about kindness, and part of what has been my underlying kind of inspiration my whole life was to, and I didn't know it. Like I had to discover this through this journey of intimacy of being, and what I discovered was I wanted to live in a different world than the world I grew up in. I want to create a different world than the world I grew up in. So kindness, I discovered, is sort of this antidote to the judgment that's so prevalent, that's so pervasive, that's so everywhere, and it's kind of the cornerstone and foundation of everything, and it's the very thing that creates separation from being. And so I used a really simple tool that I still use, maybe not as much as I used to in the beginning when I was really unlocking myself from this sort of addiction to judgment. And it was simply, what kindness can I be for me right now? It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be a question that invites a change in energy so that I can acknowledge that my desire, above all, is to treat me with kindness, to honor me with kindness, to be vulnerable in that space of kindness, to have gratitude for the being that I am with kindness. So it doesn't have to be complex. It can be very simple. What energy of kindness can I be for me right now? And I use that, and I use that, and I use that, and I use that.
Wow. That really lights me up, Tamara. I can feel in the space of just, that can help unravel a lot.
It really can. And it's so simple. It's not something that you have to, you can stick it on your mirror in the morning, and you can take it with you throughout the day. And just stop in any moment and just, what energy of kindness can I be for me right now? Just right now.
What do you think stops people from that self-care or accepting of self? And I know that's like a 1 hour question.
No, it is, and I'll try and give you a less than 1 hour answer.
I know, I'm just like hitting you with all kinds of stuff. I have you so I'm going to suck it out of you.
I would say, briefly, the thing I think is, because unkindness is so accepted, because unkindness has become the mainstream norm. And so my desire, my target, is to create a world where kindness and possibility prevail, and judgment can simply be allowed to become obsolete, because we just don't need it. And as long as judgment prevails, then kindness is sort of shoved in the corner like the redheaded stepchild. And I'd like to see kindness prevail on this planet.
Wow. That is so beautiful. Wow.
And not because cruelty is wrong, because I started out in that place. And if you're fighting against something, like I'm fighting against all the meanness and all the cruelty and all the awfulness in the world, and like it really kept me in a very stuck place.
Yeah.
Once I got out of the, kindness is right and cruelty is wrong, once I got out of that polarity.
Right, because you don't have that.
Actually start creating in the space of possibility.
Wow.
It made a big difference, not only just for me and how I treated myself, because I wasn't trying to overcome something that I thought was greater than me. I was just simply choosing different.
Right.
And the power is in choosing different.
So if I wake up and I am thrown a wrench, right? Hi, Lisa. if I wake up and I'm thrown a wrench, like a tailspin, I know that you do this where you go, nobody can do that to me, or what is it that you do? You do something really cool.
Well, one of the things that I, again, became aware of through this process is what other people are doing and being and choosing is not relevant to my experience and what I'm creating as my life. So I'm certainly aware of what other people are being and doing and choosing. That's not, I don't want to cut off my awareness to that. That's not going to go away. People are going to choose judgment, and to the degree that I be an allowance of that, I'm not being at the effect of it.
Nice.
So my choice for awareness, my choice to be in that space of awareness allows me to be aware of what other people are doing and choosing and being. And it may not be generative. It may actually be very, very destructive to themselves. And it's just gives me information about how they're functioning, as opposed to meaning anything about me. It's not really relevant to me in the sense that a lot of people turn everything into this story about what it means about themselves, and we get sort of there's this gravitational pull that sort of sucks us into judgment if we make everything mean something about us, if we made everything so significant, and now I've got to go overcome that, I've got to go fix that, I've got to go battle that, rather than just recognizing it's just how other people are functioning. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's simply a choice that most of us are making until we're not, and I was making that choice in a very destructive way for most of my life until I chose otherwise. I chose different. The power is in choosing different. And so while everyone else might be still choosing something that's destructive, I'm choosing something that hopefully will contribute toward a greater possibility.
Well, thank you for opening up our Google Hangout.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much for all of the contribution that you have been to not only this book, but I think the 3 books that have come before it and the books that will come after. And I mean, your gift and contribution is invaluable, immeasurable, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
I love everything you're doing, and go get the book, go get her chapter. Call your name.
Launches tomorrow. Yes, Erica?
Get it right now.
Get it right now. Okay.
Go get the book. No, I'm just.
Go get the book. Go get it right now.
If the book is saying "buy me," listen. That's all. I just listen. Like, don't ignore that, right?
Thank you, Erica.
Bye. Mwah.
And enjoy the rest of the hangout with all the other offers.
No. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
You got the memo.
For starting us off.
Check out your color. You got the memo.
Oh, I did. Well, we kind of do that. We have that relationship, Erica.
Oh, you have the other books behind you.
I do.
Oh, how joyful is that? Welcome.
Energy of receiving, energy of expansion, energy of happiness, and if I was a little bit more on it, I would have the energy of healing in my hands. But
well, it's just coming out. So yeah, it's just happening. Yeah.
I want it like yesterday, you know. That.
I got that. You're like, oh, yeah. I want it now.
I have more room.
So we are joined right now by Dr. Lisa Cooney, and she is an author in this wonderful book on healing. And Dr. Lisa actually does healing practices pretty much in her life every day. And I am very blessed. I'm just going to camera on me for a second. I took a full-day class with Dr. Lisa, and oh my goodness, the power she has to heal from abuse is insane. And she's just willing to go, and frankly, like, I can do almost anything, and when I look at the work she does, I'm just in complete awe. So she wrote the second chapter in this book on the energy of healing, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it, and I will turn it over to Lisa. And you know what I love about tonight is that we are actually giving you healing tools. Her chapter is called Moving Beyond the Invisible Cage of Abuse. And what I invite you to do as you're listening to this hangout is just tune into that healing energy, that loving and kind energy that the authors have, because you could actually shift and heal right now. There could be something that called you to tonight, and maybe it's exactly what you needed. And so I'm asking you just to kind of listen and open up to, what if healing for me meant something so doable, something so changeable? And why don't you tell us about your chapter?
Well, I love what you said, Erica, and may I add something? It's like so doable. And in these 3 hours, what if listening to all of us?
What if
listening to all of us would give each of these beautiful beings all over the world, in every country, all over the earth, on every body, the whisper of consciousness that will take them beyond their limitation, beyond their cage of abuse, into the expansive choice of freedom, joy, and possibility to create the life they are committed to and that they desire. That's what I would say.
I mean, let's just step in and ask that whatever healing questions that could change your life, that you might hear them tonight, or whatever. Tamara asked a beautiful question about, how can I be kind to myself today? It's like you do something where you say, what is beautiful today, or something like that.
Okay, here's one. My question would be, what about your story of abuse are you willing to give up today?
Ooh.
What about your story of abuse are you willing to give up today? Essentially, what about your story regarding abuse that takes you going that way instead of that way are you willing to give up today? And by that way, what I'm pointing to is more about what I call the invisible cage of abuse. And the other way that I'm pointing to is the bridge to radical aliveness, radical and orgasmic aliveness, with choosing for you, committing to you, and in full choice in any moment. That's what I ask.
That's all.
What about your story of abuse are you willing to give up today? Like for me, it was perfect today, the energy of healing. I'm in the midst of a big choice myself, and my own cage of abuse came right up with the 4 pillars that I've talked about before, and I talk about in the chapter: the denial, the defense, the dissociation, the disconnection. And I just like locked myself into it because my heart got hurt. And it happened like instantaneously, just like that. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to have a reset. Energy of healing. I'm going to have a reset. What is my choice? My choice is to break my heart open more and more and more, being more vulnerable, being more me, being the soft, gushy, marshmallow woman, so to speak, that talks about moving beyond abuse with no fear, no drama, only the desire to have all of us live in joy and possibility. What if I took no point of view? What if I was able to receive everything, even the heartbreak, and still open beyond the cage? And what if I was able to let everything go? And what if I was willing to lose everything, including my story of abuse? Would that give me everything I desire? And for me, the answer was yes, in these 10 seconds. And that's what I talk about in this chapter, Erica. It's like I start off the chapter with my editor on a book asking me, tell me your history of abuse again. I really want to flush it out more in the book for you. And I said, oh, I literally had a blank mind. Now, I know my abuse. And I'm not talking blank mind like I'm dissociating, I'm out of my body or whatever, or disconnecting. Like blank mind, like I couldn't put the neurons together to talk about it. I couldn't remember. And it took about 8 minutes. And then finally I came forward with some things that were important to put in the book in like, sequential order, so to speak. And bam, it was just like, oh my God, I've moved beyond it. And that's the invitation that I offer in these chapters and in these books, which is why I'm in, since the beginning, every book, and I'll keep doing every book.
I know, I'm so lucky. I have a question for you. So what are you talk a little bit about radical aliveness, and why don't you just share with us, like, what, and I can't wait, Catherine's coming next. I'm so excited. We're having the best day. This is a Google Hangout for the Energy of Healing, if you didn't know. And right now I'm joined by Dr. Lisa Cooney. And Dr. Lisa, what's the carrot? Why should I go through this crap? Why should I let go? I mean, holy crap, I've had these stories of abuse and neglect my whole life. Like, what is like the, like, what happens if I do?
Well, are you tired of eating poo? It's really that simple. It's just a choice.
Wow.
You know, do you want to keep eating crap? How does it taste?
Wow.
You know, at some point, it really got to taste rancid, and it might have some maggots on it, and you may want to choose a different meal. And that meal may be the choice of possibility and radical aliveness. What if you just woke up and said, what am I going to do today for me? What if you woke up and said, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore, I'm going to do something different? What if you had an intense heartbreak like I was talking about, and then, which was only my own invention of an intense heartbreak, because nobody can break your heart other than you, is just more like, what if you just chose in these second increments to live the way that you actually desire to live? That's the carrot. And when I was in Israel recently, and I brought the books, and they purchased the books, which is why my email to you was like, how can we get it in different languages? How can we get it downloadable international? They all wanted it, but they wanted it downloadable.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they wanted
Kindle's coming. Kindle's
they
coming.
wanted it in their language, so please plug in for that. But I was on a radio show today, so between Israel and another radio show I was doing today, they were saying to me, abuse, you know, no part of you escapes abuse. And so that's why I choose the energy of happiness and to write about that with regards to abuse, and the energy of expansion and the energy of receiving, and now the energy of healing, and I've already done, you know, for the next one and then the next one. It's like I want people to have this conversation, so no longer, no pink elephants, you know, live in our lives anymore, that these things can be discussed, they can be looked at, and with the looking, the walls and the cage will dissipate, and then you have choice.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. I am so joyful that I happened to catch you in this country.
Right. That's for sure. Thank you so much.
Not on an airplane. You're not even on an airplane. You're not even like stuck in an airport. You're actually physically in California.
I am, with a lot of good hummus and tabbouleh and whatever in my belly from Israel. I am still full.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you for supporting all of us and contributing to us. And have fun with Catherine.
I know. How much better can we get? So thank you, Dr. Lisa. And this is the book. It's called The Energy of Healing. And it's a very kind book. I think the feeling of this book is, it's like there's body in it, too. So we haven't talked about body that much yet. Ooh, maybe Catherine will talk a little bit about the body. Ooh, I bet.
You
can trust Catherine to talk about the body.
I don't know if you can trust me with anything.
So we are joined next by an author in the book. Thank you, Dr. Lisa. You can go. I got to keep it going here, right? We got to keep it going here. We're talking about the energy of healing, and Catherine was actually, she had a chapter done, and then went to an event, and it kind of opened it up even bigger, and it kind of opened it up even bigger, and so welcome, Catherine, and I'm joyful that you you came on the Hangout, and I guess for me, I'm just going to share as Catherine's publisher in this book that to capture some of the essence, it's like, how do you solve a problem like Maria? Do you know that song? Right? Do you know that song?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. I know. How do you solve a problem like Maria?
I'm inserting my name in that phrase.
I know. Does that fit or what? So with that beautiful introduction, why don't you tell us a little bit about the energy of healing and some of your philosophies, because your chapter is really about we can change. And I feel that's almost like the core of this work even that we can change, even that we don't have to stay the same.
Yeah, and I mean, I can just tell you my background. So I was born Irish Catholic, and I didn't know how intuitive I was. I didn't know how gifted I was with bodies. I mean, I did, and my parents kind of like were like, please don't talk about all the strange crap that you come out of a closet after 2 hours and start downloading all this weird stuff. And so I started bringing like stuffed animals and pretend friends in the closet, and I'd have these 2-3 hour magnificent conversations about the world, and I'm 6 years old, right? And I'm thinking that anything is possible, that the world is magical, that bodies are amazing. And slowly but surely I realized that I was a misfit, right? How do you solve a problem like being an Irish Catholic?
I love you so much.
And so I shut that part of me down, and at the age of 15, I started to fall apart. My body started gaining weight. I started getting sick. I was in and out of hospitals. I was a really amazing athlete, and I started to get made fun of for my body shape. My coach grabbed my belly when I was like 17 and told me I needed to lose weight. I'd be a better athlete. I was already really good, and it just was like this thing. And so what happened at 15, when I started gaining weight, I also started to believe that all the thoughts about my body, my weight, my shape, my diseases were mine. I thought that what was happening to my body was mine. And so I went on a 20-year quest to discover what the heck. And 10 years into that quest, I started to reopen the chapter on how intuitive I really was and how aware of bodies I was. And so what I've discovered is that if you don't have a point of view about what your body is capable of, then your body literally can change anything.
I really want you to share, like, if we're looking at this from a more traditional place, like, it seems like what I've been up against lately is the constructs of aging, and the hanging out with so much joy, so many people that are so wonderful, the people that, right, I mean, I'm blessed with energy like yours around mine. I'm like so blessed. And yet I do these things where I say, gosh, I'm in my 50s. I should feel like this, or I should look like that, or I shouldn't. Do you know, like, there's these things that I feel like, and then I'm like, well, my knees hurts from all that basketball. It's like, but I feel like I can't change it. And then I hear from you guys, and you specifically, that things can change, and you can ask your body. And just tell me a little bit about that, talking to your body.
Yeah, and I can give you a pretty specific example in my life that just happened recently. So in the fall, I had some health problems. I was in and out of doctors' offices and hospital and emergency room and some pretty gnarly stuff. And my kidneys were basically breaking down, right? And I knew it. And I've known it for a while that my kidneys have always felt off. Like when anything in my body is hurting, usually my kidneys are the first to alert me of the pain. And so I went into a massage therapist, and he was like, "You're really off balance." I was like, "Thanks. I know."
I know.
That's why I'm here. And then but that one comment was like, well, what can I do about this? Because I'm determined, to change my age, to change what my body is capable of. And, I totally resonate with the age thing, because as I creep onto 40, right, I'm like, all those points about what the body can do. Yeah. And so of two things. One is, so I went to another healer about 2 days after this massage therapist, and I said to her, my kidneys are really, like, they don't feel like they're mine. They've been hurting my whole life, and no matter what I do, I can't change it.
Wow.
And so what I would say to anyone struggling with a part of their body, whether it's physical whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's a dis-ease, whether it's aging, whether it's how you feel like your skin looks, if you can't change it, then it's not yours.
Oh my goodness.
So I know it's really crazy. So
Oh my goodness.
I went to this healer.
I hadn't actually heard that in that manner.
If you can't change it, it's not yours. So it could be 1,000 other things.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
And so
Nice.
I went to her. I said, hey, my kidneys feel like my dad. My dad was an alcoholic, manic depressive. I always felt like I was healing his kidneys.
Okay.
And so I've done every modality, every energy work, acupuncture, massage, and nothing changed it. And she went in, and I ended up falling asleep, snoring, knocked completely out. And I got up off the table, and I said, what did you do to my kidneys? Why? I said, they're completely alive, and I feel like myself again. And she said, well, I asked your body what it knew about rebuilding your organs. And she said what happened was that this energy came into my body that was me and started to replicate my, I know this sounds like a really weird conversation, but it happened. Replicate my kidneys. Now my kidneys have been painful every day since September. And I got this healing 10 days ago, right? And in these last 10 days, not one lick of pain or discomfort or depletion.
So let's look at this. What's showing up for me to ask you for some reason is space. It's like molecules, or it's this. You teach it so well. Tell us a little bit about giving ourselves the space we need. I don't know how much that's in your chapter, but it's a beautiful chapter, but I'm really dying to hear about space.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, I look at, like, we live in cities. We live in populated areas, and so there's less space. Now, when I go out in nature and I go for a hike or I go for a walk, I feel like I have access to me. I feel like I have access to abundance, to vibrancy, to health. It's sort of like this anything is possible vibe when I'm hiking or mountain biking in the woods where nobody is around.
Right.
And when I start descending back to my car or descending back to my house from that hike, I start to feel more cramped.
Okay.
So the molecules of our body get cramped with information. They get cramped with thoughts about age. They get cramped about thoughts of cancer or dis-ease or aging or weight gain. And then the molecules, instead of occupying the space of possibility, like if you're in nature, begin to occupy the space of what isn't possible or what is wrong. And when the molecules occupy the space of what's wrong, guess what they create?
Wow.
So this practice, and you can do it with breath work, right? Because we live lives and we bump up against people all day long, or we bump up against technology, or we bump up against computers. There's nothing wrong with that. But what you can do with breath work or with visualization or just with your thoughts, which is, part of this book, right, is to what space can you create wherever you are. And so if we want, it's like just taking a split second. Can we do it?
Sure, please. Yeah. Actually, can you kind of lead it a little tiny bit solo, and can I do a quick bio break while you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, you have the whole floor.
How lucky am I? Take it away. Catherine can't be trusted.
Just for a minute. 1 minute.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so just take a moment and like take if you want to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to, but just take a breath. And then notice the thoughts about Monday, your day, your work, all the things you want to fix about your body, about your life. Okay, so we're going to just notice that for a second, and then you're going to add space and put your molecules in the ocean, or put your molecules on top of a mountain, or maybe your molecules become the sky. Okay, so there. So there is a moment where you can literally just ask your molecules to be more space. So take a breath in and take another breath in and invite space. And take another breath in and invite even more space. And so literally with 30 seconds a day of saying hi to your molecules and knowing that your molecules can either crunch with technology and living in cities and living amongst people and being on computers all day long, it can take that 30 seconds and just with your breath invite the energy of space. And when I do that, I don't know about you, Erica, but when I do that, it's like I have more access to me, and when I have more access to me, then anything can change.
Well, you know, since I have you, and since our next guest hasn't gotten here yet, I'm so hungry for you. Okay. Tell me if I think my body is, I want to just get into this. I'm too fat. I'm too round. I'm not skinny enough. I'm too skinny. My hair's not straight enough. My hair's too curly. I walk into a room. I just feel like, okay, you know, and then even if I start feeling like, okay, I'm hot, okay, I start like relaxing some of the places where I didn't think I was, and I start going to, okay, I'm sexy, and then I feel like I get messed up with that. So where is it that we're taught, and where can we shift out of that whole game of someone else being better than us? I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. Whatever shows up.
I love it. And so I just found a statistic a couple weeks ago that I'm going to share. So only 4% of women worldwide consider themselves beautiful. Four. So that's 96% of women around the world do not think they're beautiful. So
oh my gosh. I'm just going to say, let's just do a shout out to all the women. And let's just do a shout out to the beauty within each, and the men too. They're hot too.
So if you're this sexy, vibrant, gorgeous, curly-haired, larger-figured, voluptuous energy that loves beings, and you walk into a room and you're like, I'm beautiful. What's up, lady? What's up, men? Most of the women and men will be like, and not from wrongness, it's just not acceptable to go, I'm awesome, I love my body, I love my life, I'm a happy person, I got laid 5 hours ago, it was amazing, anyone else want some? Like, that's just not something that we talk about. We talk about, and we're literally like taught to look for the things that are wrong. And so in my chapter, Changing the Things You Think You Can't Change, it's about going, don't change it. Embody who you are by tweaking what's up here, because 98% of it, the thoughts of you're not beautiful, the thoughts of your hair's too curly, the thoughts of, wow, like mine was, I'm an athlete and my legs are stumpy.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so it's like we can look at other bodies and go, oh, they don't have any self-critique or criticism.
Yeah.
But that's the lie. And so I'd love to challenge everyone that reads the book, that's on the hangout, is like, what's one thing that you can embrace about you and your body right now that's like, I freaking rock. And that subtle shift will seep into every other area of your life.
I really hope everybody was listening to that, because even if you just started tapping into the places within you, if you started putting your focus on, and this is Catherine, is she beautiful? Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Even if you just started putting your focus on those places within yourself that are intensely wonderful, how much could we shift everything?
And I love it, Erica, because it's like I'm on a mission to change it so it's 96% of the population considers themselves.
Yeah, the opposite. Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of beautiful women.
I know. We're so blessed. Could we have just built a better book? I have to have a little moment. I'm awesome. That is really hard for me to say. I just want to tell you that. That's like brutally hard for me to say, so I'm going to work on that. So thank you, Catherine, for changing your schedule 17 times for me. I really appreciate you following me around and jumping on the hangout, even though I kept messing with your head. So thank you.
Anytime, Erica. My pleasure.
And go get this book and make Catherine McIntosh a #1 best-selling author. Just
and
for
Stephanie
Catherine.
Richardson.
Yeah, but right now do for Catherine. And then Stephanie in 1 second. Are you with us, Stephanie? Can you hear us? I don't have audio from you, babe. There's no audio. We can't hear you, Stephanie. Maybe she'll keep playing it. Catherine, do you feel like being a good sport and doing like one more thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, what can you give us? What's one more tool?
Well, it just, the biggest thing about changing the things you think you can't change, like that subtle shift where you said, I'm awesome, or like, I do rock. And it becomes uncomfortable at first. But growth and change is all about embracing the uncomfortable. So she's back. We'll see if she has audio. No, we can't hear you. Yeah, and I met this woman, and part of what's in my chapter, I met a woman who was pretty much a paraplegic, and with her thoughts changed her body dynamically.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was really an eye-opener for me, because she was model-esque, gorgeous, 6 foot tall, blonde, lived in New York, rocked the fashion industry, was an amazing energy healer. And before I knew her story, I was like, oh, she has it made. She's perfect, Yeah, and your audio's off now too, Erica.
Oh, yeah, I muted myself real quick. But, yeah, this is in your story. Oh, and it looks like Stephanie's getting a backup. Yeah, so when you just looked at her, you had a certain set of things showed up in your head. And then tell us a little bit about what you ended up finding out.
Her story and how she was literally, like, crippled, her whole body. She was in a bed for, I don't remember how many months, it's in the chapter, but she was bedridden, and doctors told her she'd never be able to walk again. She was a professional dancer at a really young age, never be able to dance again, and she wouldn't buy their story or their diagnosis. There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. But we have to hear about the dancer real quick.
She basically, with her thoughts, healed her body. She had some healers, she had some amazing doctors on her side, but she was no longer crippled. And that's the power of changing your thoughts.
You did great, Catherine. I'm
Thank
so
you.
appreciative. That's why you had to come on when you did, right? It's always perfect. Stephanie, can I hear you? Okay, so I gotta mute that one and unmute this one. The second. Let me unmute that one. Come on, baby. Okay, I'm still working to unmute Stephanie, everyone. Hello? Ah. Wow. Okay, let me see. I am not getting your sound. You know what, Stephanie, can you call back one more time? Can you hang up and call back one more time?
Oh, wait, how about this?
Oh, yeah, that works now. I bet you're on
Okay.
twice, so I'm getting feedback. You have to hang one of them up.
But
Or you
that
have it
means-
on your...
Oh, got it. Okay, how about that? Does that work?
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you.
Hi.
Hi, we are
That was so
live
weird.
in living color.
I'm on my phone now instead of on my lovely steady computer. So hi, everybody. I apologize for the color and the shakiness. Woo.
Oh, Stephanie, I'm so glad you could join us and
I'm so
tell
grateful
us
to be here.
a little bit about your chapter in the energy of healing.
I should have reread it. That was so many 10 seconds ago, Erica.
Okay, well, I'm going to remind you. And why don't you just give us a little bit about what stops people from healing? What keeps us in our buckets of glum?
Oh, man. Well, so one of the biggest things, and by the way, thank you so much for Catherine being on here. I'm so grateful to be a part of the entire project. The people that are here are just amazing. And I know about their healing capacities firsthand, but with a lot of these guys, so thanks. So one of the things that even before I started doing Access Consciousness, which is what I talk a lot about in the chapter, is using the tools of Access to actually move beyond the places of having the physical limitations and the blocks and all of that kind of stuff. Even before my first Access class, it turns out that I happen to be using some of the tools already. So all the people watching, you may already be using some of the tools that we've all included, any of the Access people have included in our chapters. You may already be aware of some of the tools and may already be using them. One of the things that happened in my life is I suffered from depression. Like from the time I was a young teenager all the way up through my 20s. And it was one of those things that started twice a year and then was 4 times a year, and then it was 4 times a year for, a week to a week and a half, and then all of a sudden it was 4 times a year for an entire month. And then all of a sudden it got to the place where it was sort of rare that I was ever out of depression and was had gotten to the point where I was suicidal. And
just stop there for a sec, Stephanie, because I just want to really touch into this moment, because in your chapter you go into this place, and I just want to bring everyone in who's being attracted to the healing energy, and really just say, you know what, even if there's these bouts of depression, even if really life looks like, why am I even on the planet anymore? Let's go into that, because you made a profound choice, and you can tell us a little bit more. And that's really so much of what your chapter does that was so beautiful, is it's not scared to go to that place, Well,
that was exactly where I was heading with it. So with the story is that place of where it actually is choice, and where all those places where it seems like you don't have choice, and the unleashing of that choice. So the thing is probably more than anybody else, people who are interested in healing, people who are interested in helping others, people who are interested in healing the planet, helping the planet, people who are attuned to that may be also more attuned to, bouts of depression and things like that, in part because when you are a healer, when you do care about the health and well-being of others and the planet, one of the things is will you also be highly aware of when people aren't choosing that, or when other people are unhappy,
oh my goodness.
or when the planet is in distress.
Thank you. Because that's that place that we're in, the sensitives. It's like we tune in and we can feel the pain and we want to fix it, or we want to, right? Oh my gosh, that made you laugh. Tell me why that made you laugh.
Yeah, it's huge to begin to recognize, wow, if I care about these things, if I'm, some people call it sensitive, but I like to just ask, truly, are you aware? Are you aware of other people's pain? Are you aware of the destruction of the planet? Are you aware of, all of those people around you? And then to actually look at what other choices do you have available. So one of the things that this part's not in my book, or not in the book, not my chapter, but one of the things that I looked at even before this choice I think I talked about in the book, we'll talk about it in a second, but one of the things that I looked at was, where am I trying to help people who actually don't desire help? Where am I trying to fix things where people don't actually desire for them to be fixed? And will that lead to a huge sense of, not being able to get anywhere in the world, not being able to do what is possible, not being able to create what is possible? And so one of the things that I had to do is stop trying to fix other people, stop trying to fix, all the things that I was trying to fix, all the things that I was trying to make better, all the things that I was trying to make people happier than they were willing to be. That was something that I was like, maybe I have another choice here.
I don't do that at all, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't do that at all. I don't make happiness summits, or I don't really tell people they have to be happy or anything. I don't do that at all. I'm not. I think one of my awarenesses recently, it was very interesting. It was I think in your book what you talk about is, if I'm happy, this happens, or something. Was it like that? It was something that you'd made connect to happiness that all of a sudden you went, oh.
Well, so what happened was, I was literally driving to a friend of mine's house. And at this point in my life, by this time, I had done a ton of work. I had started doing CODA, which is, a 12-step program. I had started, doing all these different things. I had, gone on and off of medication. I was exercising. I was going outside. I was making friends. I was, I had changed my list of things that I liked about myself from eking out 3, where I could get that people might like me because I was nice, and that they might not think I was horrible because I tried to be helpful. And then I can't even remember what the third one was at that time. I really had to try to come to a third thing that I liked about myself. But by this point, I think I may have had 8 things that I liked about myself. But I was driving to my friend's house, and all of a sudden, I wasn't depressed. I was kind of doing okay. And then it was on the horizon, here comes the gloom again. I could see it coming. Now, here's a huge hint. If you see depression coming from a distance, could it be that it's not yours? right? If you can see it coming before it arrives, it might not be yours. It might be that you are aware of that energy. Okay, so here's the thing. It was on the horizon.
You have about like 4 more minutes.
Oh, I'll hurry. I'm so sorry. I'm so chatty. I love that about me. Okay, so
I love that about you too. I just have Manette coming up next.
I see her. Hello. Well, she blocked herself out so that we couldn't watch her while she was watching.
I know.
Okay, so here's the thing. The real quick version of this basically goes, I all of a sudden had the question, am I willing to be happy? Am I willing to be happy?
Oh.
And that seems like an obvious question because, of course, you would want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy, right?
Yes.
But when I answered that to myself, I went, everybody wants to be happy. And then I went, does that sound like I'm actually answering for me, or does that sound like I'm giving the right answer? And I was like, that's definitely me giving the right answer.
Exactly. What should I say?
Yeah. And so I was like, man, if I'm not willing to be honest with me now, I don't have a chance. You know, who am I going to, I'll never be honest with anybody if I can't even be honest with myself. So let me just look at this. I'm sitting at a stop sign this whole time. So I'm just sort of like, okay, well, what's actually true for me? I'm going to imagine that I'm happy. So I like go through, in my imagination, I imagine being so happy, right? Just like that. So happy. And I was like, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to be happy. And I went, oh, I think it's exhausting to be happy. No wonder I haven't chosen it. Like, who would choose to be happy if
Right.
the result is that you're going to be exhausted all the time?
Right.
And in that moment of actually telling what was true for me and actually being willing to be completely brutally honest, even if the result was I found out that I wasn't willing to be happy, and even if that meant that I was going to be stuck being depressed forever, I was like, well, if that's what's true for me right now, I'm just going to be honest about it with me. I don't even have to tell anybody else. I just have to be honest with me. What's actually going on here? And when I did, and when I was like, wow, that's exhausting, I was like, something broke loose. And the place that I had locked that in of having no choice, because to choose happiness meant to choose exhaustion, to choose a difficult life, to choose this thing, whoever's point of view that was, it didn't even really matter. I had taken that on as mine. And what happened is when I was honest about it and admitted I didn't want to be happy, all of a sudden I was happy.
And that is a perfect spot where we are going to actually turn it over to our next guest. We talked about doing energy pulls. We'll have to do that another day.
Okie dokie.
Always another day. And this is the book, The Energy of Healing. I'm just going to hold it up, and Stephanie has a very beautiful chapter where she.
I think we've got four distinct tools in there to actually use to get beyond pretty much anything, I think.
You can just sort of feel it. If you feel the energy of this book, it is like kind. It's such a warm and caring book. Like I guess it's not exactly what you expect, because you might expect it to say, don't eat sugar or something.
Mine definitely doesn't say that.
Yeah. Right? So thank you, Stephanie, for
Thank
coming.
you so much. Thanks for including me, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say next.
I know.
Look forward to hearing you, Manette.
My next author is amazing. Her name is Manette, and she is an energy expert, and she has beautiful, kind, loving energy, and she's chapter 3 in the book, and she agreed to come on at this time about 7 minutes ago. No, I'm just kidding. So welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me, Erica?
I can, but I can't see your mouth moving. It's really strange.
What about now? What else is possible?
Well, you know what? We get to see your cute face, and you'll just be a little out of sync, and that's okay. We're going to be okay with that because we're live and living color, and we're excited to be here on the Google Hangout. It is the top of the hour. It is 5:04, and I am so blessed to have with me Manette. Manette's going to talk a little bit about healing and her story. She actually went through some body illness. Her story is called From Broken to Beautiful. And it cracks me up because sometimes there's people that say, there's nothing wrong with you, you're perfectly fine. Well, sometimes you break your neck. And when you break your neck, it's possible to say, I'm actually broken and I need to heal.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your healing journey.
Oh, well, that is the time when I realized I was literally broken.
I know.
And the pain, not only the pain, but the emotional pain that you go through with something like that's, unless that happens to you, it's really hard to understand, but every part of your body is screaming, and you got the medical reality telling you what you can and can't do and what you have to have done, and it's like there's all these rules, and it's such a constrictive space. And
wow.
I got to the place after when they told me my neck was broken, I had to have surgery, and then I had the surgery, and then they said, well, now you have to have a liver transplant, and your organs are going bad, and it was just this journey. I thought that was the first time I literally heard my body scream, and it said, no, enough. And I hadn't to that point realized that my body was part of me. I know that might sound kind of funny, but I had lived from here up, and I just did as I was told in this reality, and it was at that point when I heard my body scream that I was really aware that something else was possible with healing. I realized that I took charge of myself, and I started creating my own healing space.
Wow.
I don't know, the journey since then has been amazing. The access tools have been phenomenal, but so many other things. I guess just realizing so much of it had to do with my energy and my choice. I could lay there. If I didn't choose what I choose now to create my own energetic healing reality, I could still be laying in bed, after a liver transplant on medications for the rest of my life. And being that I chose something different created this whole new reality for me where I can say from broken to beautiful.
Where can I get started?
Where did the journey start? Or the choice?
If I'm interested in a change.
For me, when I was laying there and I thought, this is it, I'm done, my body's done, there's nothing else, I'm going to be on medication the rest of my life. For me, I guess it was choosing to stop and say, no, I'm not stuck. This isn't real. This isn't, it's real, but I guess I started choosing gratitude. I started saying what I was grateful for. I stopped by saying, okay, yeah, I just had my neck broken, and I've got this beautiful titanium neck now, and I have these other issues, but I'm so grateful for every breath that I'm still taking, for every step I'm still taking, for every hug I'm still able to give. And I guess it started with just that first choice to be grateful for everything I did have. And choosing that space of gratitude and not focusing on poor me and feeling that everything that was going on in my body started to shift everything so tremendously and so fast for me. It opened up this space for me to receive all these beautiful energies and just a shift in my body. And I don't know, from that point, it was like I started to heal from just choosing that space of gratitude, choosing something different for myself. I see you, Erica. Yeah, I opened up a beautiful space, though, and then I just started to receive more and more, and once I was on that path, from gratitude, I guess that space of gratitude started opening up a communion with my body I had never had before.
Wow.
Yeah. To hear my body speak, I was like, what? Who says body speak? I didn't know that was possible in this reality.
I feel like since some of the guests that I invited to this hangout, I actually have some guests that are going through some pretty big medical changes right now. Maybe they're healing from cancer. I have some guests who are coming today to hear about healing the body, and no one's really just kind of talked a little bit about that, just the very basic talking to the body, listening to the body. Can you just kind of introduce us? Catherine kind of jumped in big time, but can you just kind of take us like a couple baby steps into that philosophy or that way of being that's so different from sort of the medical reality?
Yes, for me, a big part, like I said, first I chose gratitude, so that opened up a space for me to receive, but then I started looking at everything as not good or not bad. Everything was just an awareness. If I had a pain, it was like, wow, thank you, body. I'm so grateful for this communion that I'm aware something's going on in my body. I'm aware that you're trying to communicate with me.
Wow. Right there. That's really different.
Yeah.
That's really different. Thank you for the pain.
Yes.
Wow.
And it really so many times shifted that for me. Yeah. I was just, thank you. Thank you for this communion. Thank you for this awareness I'm having of what's going on in my body. What are you trying to tell me? What can I do to create ease for both of us?
Nice.
And I think another thing that really helped me too is in the beginning there was some anger because they took about a year to figure out my neck was broken, and that's in the book too. But I had some anger, and I thought, you know what? And I kind of almost felt like this conqueror, this warrior energy, like I'll fight this, I'll beat this, you're not going to hold me back or down, and I will conquer. And then I kind of realized what I was fighting, and I kind of felt like that energy for me, I was fighting my body. I was fighting something else that was going on in my body. So when I said, hey, I accept this, whatever this is, and now what can we go from here?
Right. Right. I love that question. I really feel like that question of where do we go from here
Yeah.
is like phenomenal. I feel like this question of what can I do now? What can I do in this moment? It's so awakening versus all the crap that I think about that I should have done or might have been or could have done, or why did I play basketball for 20 years? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
I loved most moments.
Who doesn't love to play?
I do.
Yeah, but that started to open up a really beautiful space for me to just, I guess, to choose more. So anytime I felt that, because there are days, I'm telling you, with the broken neck, there are days you have pain. So it's those days that were really heavy that choosing to create more lightness, I guess, to be grateful for that, and but have it be more of an awareness was like, wow, this is a communion with my body. What can we choose? How can I expand this to create something different? And what can I choose now for healing?
Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little. Give us another tool. I'm having so much fun with the tools.
No, I'm getting better than that.
Give us a weekend anger. Look at him. I can stick my teeth into. I'm not even drinking. That's just me.
Yes.
This is just Erica 101. I'm nuts.
I love it. Hey, that's the brilliance that's you. What if we all embraced our madness? I love what they say in Access, that, the mind is a good thing. Go ahead and waste it. If your mind could figure it out, we would have had it all figured out already.
Right. If I keep saying why. That is the thing. Okay, let's just bust the why. Let's just jump right in. You know what? Do I look okay? Because I think on my screen I look blue. But anyways, let's just bust the question why being ridiculous. Like, why do I have this pain? Or why? What if it's a different question?
Yes. What if instead of why we asked, what else? It's as simple as what else is possible. Yes, I accept this. I have this awareness in my body. What can I do to create greater ease? What can
That's
sometimes just
question.
bringing in a different energy.
Yeah.
Yes. And your body will answer you. Sometimes you'll get when you start to commune with your body, it's like sometimes it will tell you right away. Maybe if we just got up and walked a little, or we had a stretch, or maybe you need a nap, and your body will literally start to talk to you and tell you what it needs. Create greater ease.
And I think when you first start doing this, there's this fear that you're talking to a beast, and your body's a beast, and it wants so much that you are scared if you say yes to it. Like, it will want too much sugar, or it will want too much of this or too much of that. But when you actually step into it, what happens? What happens? What changes?
For me, I guess it was a greater awareness with everything. I mean, when I started communing with my body and asking questions, I found out that there were foods that I thought I liked that my body didn't really like. I found out that I know, I was like, hey, I've always liked this. What's going on? Oh, we don't like this anymore. Okay.
Wow.
We're not eating or different things that I enjoy now that I didn't quite enjoy before. It's like, I don't know, embracing your best friend and creating your reality with your best friend. So, I mean, it bleeds, it cries, it does everything for us with no judgment. So when we start to open up that space, and like, that's my best friend. How does it get better than that?
Wow. Well, I want everyone to just look up Manette. She's chapter 3. It's From Broken to Beautiful. And this is the book, and go get it. It's on Amazon, The Energy of Healing. We have 20 beautiful authors. It's a really kind book. It's going to ask some questions of you. You know, sometimes people put healing to be something that has to be going through the pain or breaking through this or that. And I feel like this book is such a gentle book. It's not judgmental, you know?
Yeah, I liked it. It opened up a space of acceptance. So you can say, what's next? What now?
Thank you, Manette. I so appreciate you and all the beautiful healing you're doing in the world every day. So thank you for being you. And looks like Megan is here. Megan, do you want to say hi and unmute yourself?
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Hi. So thank you, Manette. And Megan's going to talk to us about, you know, I don't even have to look yours up because yours just like really spoke to me. It's like following the energy of yes. And I wish we all had it, but it just came out. This is a proof. It actually just went on Amazon within the last couple, day. And so you can get it now, but you couldn't get it before now. So it's a real launch. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Erica. It's so good to be with you here, celebrating the launch of this book. It's so powerful. I was tuning into the energy of the book and all the authors, and just like remembering too to like receive, as well as like we're each showing up to contribute.
Okay, can we hear you, Megan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just sharing how it feels so good to both contribute to this book and to you with all these other authors, as well as actually receive from this book, because there's so much energy that's being offered through this.
Thank you. And, you know, all day long, my energy was insane. So I have been sort of a net case, and I've really been tuning into that. And I was thankful that we had a little dialogue earlier today just to help me kind of feel just kind of the magic and the beauty of the book being what it is. And I want you just to jump right in it, because we have a little tiny moment of what is the energy of yes, and what do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is yes is that for me, and what I inspire and ignite and invite my clients and like those of you who are tuning into this, it's like the yes is this energy of being when we are feeling lit up, inspired, turned on by life. And for me, the journey of arriving in what does live your yes actually mean to me, I actually arrived there from a really dark time in my life, as I write about in the chapter about feeling stuck, and everything in my life on the outside in looked like I was living the fantasy life, but inside I was just stuck and miserable, and was trying to figure out what was going on and what was I doing. And so that's when I received this wisdom around, well, first of all, the reality check of I had been living my maybe. I've been kind of living the safe life. And so the invitation to live my yes was really the invitation to leave the safe harbor and move forward in the world, really tuning into the guidance of my heart and really including all of me in my life, my passion, my desires, and that I could actually embrace that and trust that to be my guide. So, and for me, that energy and that compass of the yes is so healing, because for so many years it was like I was leaving myself out of my life to a certain degree. It was like I wasn't fully choosing for me. I wasn't fully trusting for and going for all of my desires. And so it's like when Spirit spoke to me, it was like, right, I get to show up and I actually get to fully enjoy my life and embrace my life and feel embraced by life.
Right.
That was huge healing for me.
Wow. I love it. You know, I think sometimes what happens for me on some of this is that I'll get a huge, crazy, wild vision, or I'll get this like thing, and it's so crazy that it's hard for me to, it's like, how could I think that is possible? Do you know what I mean? So tell me a little bit about when I get the yes, I get that sort of like crazy wild ass idea that's like saying, Erica, you need to talk to Spirit. And luckily Spirit is with us, by the way. If anyone didn't know, I talk to Spirit, I do, and they're here, and they're like joining us and nourishing us. So I've given up most of my resistance to that. But tell me a little bit about when it shows up and you go, ah, I can't do the yes, like I might change too much.
So, so it's really what you're speaking to is like you get this big vision and then you get the excitement followed by the constriction of like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah.
Or even like trusting that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so a couple things come to mind. One, for me, and I share this in the chapter because there was a way in which I actually knew what was being asked of me, but it required the courage to actually choose that and speak my truth and start to be in action about it, to actually move out of the maybe life into the yes life. So there's something about just really, like, this is kind of different than what you're talking about, but it's coming through, and so I'm trusting that. But so there's that, it takes that courage to know what we know and to honor that. And in what you're speaking to, because there was fear of the unknown, because it's like when we're inviting in a yes life and change and more creation in our life, it's like there can be that fear of like, what's it going to look like? What's it going to take? And so for me, one of the big things has been about like, how do I, see that big vision and then follow the breadcrumbs, like start to put things into motion towards that and actually trust the universe and receive the support and the contribution of the universe and the surprise people and the synchronicities that actually show up in support of that. And there's that being willing to allow that vision to change and morph and actually become something bigger than you could have ever imagined. So it's like I had this huge vision of like leading international retreats, and I've been so thrilled by this vision because it's like writing retreats in Bali, Hawaii, like, oh my God, yes. and I was like, okay, so where do I start? So I'm starting with one-day virtual writing retreats. You know, it's like I'm following the energy, I'm listening, and I'm letting myself keep choosing the yes that guides me to the next yes and the bigger yes.
You know, and I have to stop you for 1 second. I do have to say that in November last year, I talked to Happy Publishing, and I asked my book publishing company, I said, you know what would shift this in 2015? What would shift the energy in 2015? And it said, what if all your authors became best-selling authors? And I went, like, holy. I'm like, what? Like, I'm capable of that? Like, right? Like, oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to have to charge them more. I'm going to have to put more marketing in. I'm going to have to do more PR. You know what I have to do, right? It's like, oh my goodness. It's a whole different set of standards, and it's a whole different calibration of my life. It was like, oh my gosh, right? Energy of happiness, number one, right? Energy of receiving, number one, right? And where is this book gonna go, right? It really would love to be number one, if y'all could go buy it, you could help make that happen. Go buy it right now. Because I got to tell you, when you set your, it was like, and then I just asked, okay, that's a crazy whack idea. But now there's 51 human beings on the planet who are #1 best-selling authors because I let that in.
Totally. Yeah.
And then other people started saying, why haven't I asked for that for me?
Totally.
And then other people started getting some bestseller statuses in our circles, right? Some of the people we know started getting bestseller. And it was like, I'll have some of that. Oh, I'll have some of that. And that was that thing in November when I said, when I got that energy that you're talking about, and I went, and I didn't get overwhelmed, you know? But now I'm getting other crazy ideas, and I guess what you're saying is...
Totally. But isn't there now this like trust in the journey, because you met that energy with a yes and with being the invitation of like, all right, I'm going to go for this. And I imagine in the journey, more of your capacities actually got evoked. You know, it's kind of that energy of like leap, and you discover your wings. You said yes for it, and all of a sudden you like were connecting with more people and saw the more ways that you could bring up these books to #1 status. And so it's like you discover more of what you can create, what you can do.
Well, and I asked, to be honest, I asked for really beautiful authors to show up in my life. And Megan, when you wrote this chapter, you had to write it. It was so guided to you.
Oh.
I mean, your chapter, you were like, it had so much life force. Tell us a little bit about that, since you love to teach writing. Tell us a little bit about that for you. Tell us what that's like, because you, of all the authors, I must say, you had a vision for it. It was like, just tell us a little about what that was like for you, because it was really amazing. I just watching you, and I have over 200 authors I've played with, so you know what? I get this. You really have something where there was a series of things that showed up that made you able to do that. So why don't you just share a little bit of your Megan?
Thank you so much for asking that. I feel totally honored, and like totally, you're reminding me even more like, so when you invited me to contribute a chapter to this book, I started tuning into, so what does the energy of healing mean to me? And so it was like asking a question and listening to what came, and it was like the energy of my chapter started to speak to me. And so it was amazing too, because I just started to hear, live your yes, live your yes, live your yes. And that's what my chapter is all about, the power, the healing power of these 3 words. And I just sat down one evening on my computer, and just the story came through. It was just like, oh my God, my story, my journey of this wants to be shared. Wow. And so the story just came through. And then there was, from there, like, I know the power of how our story empowers and inspires others. And I also knew, like, the chapter needed more than just my story. It was like, okay, how do I create the bridge for readers on how do you live your yes? So then it was just like, okay, so what were the steps I actually took to begin to put this into action in my life? And the steps just started, it was like reviewing my story and turning those into steps. And it came through so just truly from the energy of the chapter. It spoke, and I got out of the way so it could come through.
And so if I wanted to do a whole book, like, what would you say to me? I mean, I'm the wrong person because I got that. I got that, baby.
But for those who are tuning in who aren't you or me,
like, if I'm like listening to you and I'm going, oh, maybe I could do that. You know, maybe that's not so hard for me. What is it? Tell me a little bit about, like, now I've got this hairy idea. I don't know why I like that word. It's ridiculous. But I start getting the inspiration. It starts showing up. What can I do to just see it like as a whole book? Like, what would that be like to go from that to a whole book?
So a couple of ideas come to mind, and I so love that you're asking. So one of the ideas is just like what I shared. I started to ask questions and listen and actually tune into the energy of the book and begin to actually have a conversation It may sound totally crazy and wacky to some of you watching this, and yet it's truly when you start to invite in a conversation and listen, you actually begin to receive more information and wisdom from the book. And so that's one thing, like ask questions, listen. And my dad, who's a published author, and he's written thousands of articles and several books. It's like writing is in my, and my mom's a published author too, it's like writing is in my bones and blood. He would always say, just like in the Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams, like build it and they will come. He's like old school writer, so he would be like, have a manila envelope and just start looking for the messages from the universe. Like, you know what your topic is and your themes are, start collecting the articles. Nowadays you'd probably collect this online, but he used to have a manila envelope that would grow from one to several for each chapter. So as he'd get ideas or brainstorms or see an article or see a book title or see, you know, things in the universe speak to us and inspire. So that's one way. And then it's like, as you listen and ask questions and receive, like I co-write books and ghostwrite books with clients too, and it's like being in conversation with someone else who's asking you questions helps evoke the wisdom and the brilliance that it's like, because it helps you get out of your own way of trying to think about it, and it just opens it up. So the biggest thing is ask questions and listen.
Thank you so much for coming. This is the book. Megan wrote a beautiful chapter on being your yes, and it's really beautiful. And go get the book right now. Help us make Megan the #1 best-selling author with this book, and then she can say, "Hey, Dad." No. I got it going on, baby doll. And we're gonna be joined now by someone. I love this next guest.
Thank you so much, Erica.
Thank you for making the time. I know the insanity, and I really appreciate it.
So fun, so fun. Mwah.
Bye. Thank you, Megan. Bye. So my next guest is Pat Duran, and this is really a fun healing topic. I know Pat personally, so some of these people I know by, online or by Australia or by Skype, right? I have authors from all over the planet contributed to this book, and Pat is actually a neighbor here, and she likes to talk about aging. So Pat, just jump right in, and I'm going to let you have the whole floor while I do a 2-minute bio break, since I've been on for 90 minutes, and you get to just share. Let's make sure your audio works.
Great. Hi, Erica.
Hi. So tell us about your chapter, and I'll be right back. Just, you have the whole floor.
Wonderful. I'm so grateful for what Erica's put together here, and you wouldn't believe how quickly she did this and what a creator of magnitude that she is. I am on a mission to change how society views getting older. So many of us hear words like over the hill and, I'm too old for that. Once we hit a certain age, we can't do this or we can't do that, or we can't wear this, or we can't have hair this length, or anything like that. And my mission is to be an allowance for whatever gives us joy and happiness as we grow older. And my chapter in the book is called "Are You Getting Younger Each Day?" Because I think that's possible. Earlier people were talking, I think it was Catherine talking about how the body can really do anything. And if you can't change something, it's not yours in the first place. So what if we could change our bodies? And what if we could get younger rather than older each day? What are the infinite possibilities there? So we've been talking a lot about bodies today. I think as we grow older, a lot of people look in the mirror and notice the wrinkles, the sagging, the double chin, all of that stuff, and we go into judgment. And what if when we looked at our bodies, we were grateful for them instead? Gratitude's another theme that's been throughout the hangout here. What if we're grateful for all the things our bodies can do, and even for the bulges and the sags and the wrinkles? what if they're signs of wisdom instead of decrepitude, like some people think of? So I think if I had a question, we started with some questions in the first couple of authors. I think if I had a question, it would be, body, how can I nurture you today? How can I take care of you and nurture you so that you're happier today and we can collaborate on this?
Thank you. And what if the answer is kind of crazy? What do I do? What if what my body wants is like, I'm just saying, bodies are kind of crazy. Like, what if my body wants something crazy? Yeah, so if I start waking up, my awareness and feeling better in my body, I was telling one of the other spokespeople, one of the other authors in that beautiful book, like, I start waking up and then I walk in the room and I'm different than other people because I kind of bounce off the walls. You know me. I bounce off the walls, right? I don't know. It's like, did I get an extra electricity charge or something?
Not one, I think many.
I know, right? Like, there's no one. So, if I'm going to be more Erica, Pat, what's going to happen?
Won't it be interesting to find out what a fun adventure that's going to be? The other question we often hear from people is to start the day with, who am I today and what grand and glorious adventure can I have? And boy, being in your shoes, you're having great and glorious adventures all the time.
I get to hang out with the most amazing people. I really do. I was talking to someone yesterday because I've been having all this spirit, my latest spirit stuff, and I've been having like a celebrity spirit thing show up. So I've had conversations with spirit that are crazy, and I go, and yet there's this feeling like that's truly me. And it's kind of crazy, Pat. What do I do when I'm healing and I start going into these things like you talk about, and I just feel better and better and better and better? What then?
How is that a problem? You keep feeling better and better? Great. What else is possible? More please, more please.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about, you were talking about on a call we had recently, what were you saying? There's nothing, anti-aging doesn't exist. Tell me what you meant by that.
Yeah, I think the term, I think anti-aging is a myth, because first of all, aging is such a yucky word for most people. It conjures up so many things, and then anti-aging, if you're really talking against something, it's impossible to really do. Ooh. You're resisting and reacting to it. So what I encourage people to think about is either growing older with joy and vitality, or even the getting younger each day. But I really think that anti-aging is a disservice. Using that term is a disservice to those of us who are, which is all of us, are growing older.
Yeah. And like I said, I missed the first 1 minute of your talk on my bathroom break, but tell me a little bit about what you talk about in the book with the negative self-talk and kind of the language that we've been using that really is not serving us. Like, it doesn't serve us to think, oh, I'm this age, so blah, blah, blah. I can't do this because I'm blah, 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 whatever. I remember I went to Kaiser, and I've been playing full court basketball with, like, guys that were, like, 20. And I was on a winning team, of course, winning every game, of course. Yeah, and there's a little bit more than just age, by the way, that's important. And he's like, you should act your age now. Like, that was the doctor's advice, Pat. It was basically stop being wild, I think.
Yeah, well, the whole medical model is, as you age, all these things happen to your body. And I can't tell you how many times, because I'm now on Medicare, and when I go in...
Does that even sound funny?
I know, It feels really weird. It feels really weird. But when I go in, they, it's
35 people. She's not 35.
Thank you. But when I go in, it's almost like an attitude of, well, what do you expect at your age? And I'm like, I expect to feel terrific at my age and for many more years to come.
Yeah.
What I'm expecting.
Or what drugs are you on?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Wow, there's like the expectation that you'll be on medication.
Right. I mean, I have one medication that I take, and that's it. And I remember my parents at my age had like medicine cabinets full of drugs that they were on.
Yeah.
And it was just assumed that was normal.
Yeah. So what can I do if I tend to wake up and I'm just cognizant of aging, like thoughts that aren't causing me to feel good? What are some steps? What are some different things I can do? Or maybe just give us a tool, because why not just fill this hangout so full of tools?
I think the place I'd start with that one is, who does this belong to? Because there's so much of that in our culture, in our families, in our society, that the odds are very high that those thoughts aren't even yours to begin with.
Explain that deeper for the people who have never had exposure to access. What do you, when you, I mean, I hear it, and of course now that I've kind of taken some classes from some of my authors, I understand what you mean somewhat. But why don't you take, I think it's worth a minute or two just to say, like, that whole concept of who does it belong to, especially with bodies, right?
Yes, yes, because most of what's going on isn't ours in our bodies. So we're all really like psychic SpongeBobs. We pick up stuff from other people. Everybody knows we pick up stuff from our parents, our family of origin. Beliefs, mindsets, points of view, conclusions about things. Well, it turns out we pick up stuff from everybody around, from the guy who cuts us off on the freeway, from the person standing next to us in line at the grocery store. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, says that 98% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are not ours. So, I mean, that's just a massive amount. And they feel like ours because they've been with us for so long. We've had them since we can remember. So it feels like ours. But if we even ask the question, who does this belong to? Is this mine, someone else's, or something else's? If that helps you lighten up even the slightest little bit, it means it's not yours. And then we have this wonderful tool, Return to Sender with Consciousness Attached. And it helps to release it from our bodies, and it goes back to the original source, wherever we got it, so they can deal with it and shift it for themselves. Wonderful, really super powerful tool.
Isn't that fascinating to me that we could look at healing and we could think about healing? And by the way, you can have this book if the other ones don't come in time. But you're going to get your too, so you'll get your own.
Yeah, I'll get mine tomorrow or the next day.
So it's amazing to me, healing could be, I'm just even tripping about the concept of healing being just not having stuff in our space that belongs to someone else. Like, don't you think that's like completely different from the common practices of thought?
I think it is, and I think it's one of the things that makes Access unique. I know of one other modality, energetic NLP, that has a similar concept, that a lot of what we're experiencing isn't really ours, and I'm not aware of a tool that's as simple and easy to use as Return to Sender with Consciousness Attached. I mean, that's just so easy. Anybody can use that.
It's kind of like a little eject button with someone else's crap.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Send it back.
Oh, you don't remember? It's like a car scene where they're in the passenger seat, and you're like,
yeah.
Well, Pat, what would you like to tell us? We have a couple minutes left with you. Thank you for joining us today on this live Google Hangout for the book, The Energy of Healing. And I have the woman who wrote the foreword coming on next. Sadie's coming on next. So go ahead and just give us like one more last kabam from your chapter.
Well, I think it's gratitude. It's, you know, what am I grateful for today? And, you know, in my life, in my body, in my business, all in general. You know, there have been studies on gratitude, and it shows that keeping a gratitude journal actually helps people with their health, with their careers, with their finances. I mean, you name it, down every aspect of your life is improved by being in gratitude. So what would it take for us to be grateful for our lives, for our bodies, for our friends, for, you know, the universe?
Well, I am grateful for each and every author who took
We are grateful for you.
bold step of
Thank you for making us best-selling authors.
I know. Can we have more fun? Really? And what we're doing, we're just teaching healing. Like, what could be better than that? It's like we're teaching healing. It's like,
but a whole new way, a whole new awareness about healing, where it's really under our control. You know, it's our choices that create the healing for us. So that for me is the big shift in this book from any other book that I've seen on healing.
I know. It's very, I wonder, right? It's got a lot of that. So thank you, Pat, for joining us. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Erica. Have fun with the rest of the evening.
Yay!
Hi, Sadie.
Hi, Pat. I thought it was so funny. I came on and I was looking at Pat talking. I was like, oh, actually, that's where I met Erica, is right there in that living room.
Right. It was. It was.
Okay, I'm signing off now. Bye.
I know you gotta go. Bye, Pat. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Hi, Sadie.
Hi, my beautiful friend.
Oh, it is so good to hear from you. And it looks like your wiggly people are somewhere.
Well, I'm sure one of them will burst in. I mean, that's just what they do.
Mine have already done that, so it's okay. They just ran around behind, so it's all right.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that none of them runs through naked, because that's usually how it goes. Is I'll have a naked child burst in and wave at the camera, and I'll be like, oh, God, that's on YouTube. You got to not do that.
Well, they're little enough where it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to thank Sadie. Sadie took the time to write the foreword. So this is the foreword. And actually what I asked Sadie to do today was to interview me.
Yeah.
So why don't you
because I don't actually have a copy of the book. I don't really know. Yeah.
I know. No one does the proof. It's just going on Amazon now. This is totally fresh. Yeah.
You know what I loved about it though is I didn't have a reference for anything when you asked me to write the so to ask you. So I guess the question to start with is like, what comes up for you with the energy of healing? What was it that was kind of the energy of healing in Erica's words? I'm gonna share that, and then Donna, you're up in about 6-7 minutes. Is that good?
That's good.
Okay, awesome. So, Sadie, you know what happened for me? I want to talk a little bit about my chapter just because I can, and this hangout is really something about trust energy to heal ancient pain. And one of the things that I looked at for healing is that there's a lightness around it that's very different from darkness, and it's a constant focusing on the light, and it's a constant focusing on the light. And our tendency is to go where it hurts. It's a tendency to put our tongue in where the toothache is or something. And so when we shift that, and the other thing that I feel like is so vital is putting good people around us. And so when I look at healing, it's like this, we heal one thing, and then we heal the next thing, and then we heal the next thing. And I always put my books together when I'm looking at learning something. So I did receiving around learning how to receive, and I did happiness around, well, I just love happiness.
Hence happy publishing.
Yeah, and I have expansion, which I've sold all my copies of that book, so I have to go buy some more copies of that book so I can show that one. But healing really came out of just the gifts of the people that I connect with, and my chapter is about the power of our energy to change anything. So it's a power of energy to change anything. And it's when that life force and when that energy comes in, and it can come in such interesting ways, and when that's going on, magic is happening. And anything can change in an instant, and nothing is the same as it was 10 minutes ago. So if you just listen to the last 10 minutes of Pat, you might have gotten an idea which might have given you the next Facebook. I mean, you could have come up with the next Twitter. You could have come up with the next something you've been thinking about teaching forever. And maybe you heard Megan talk about how she writes her books. You're not the same as you were before you heard that. And so it's that opening of energy to heal, and opening of energy to heal, and opening of energy to heal. And then you have to heal again, because you're always healing. And that was the power that I wanted to have this book do, was to have each of my beautiful, I have worldwide healers on this book. And I just wanted to let people feel the power of energy. And Sadie, don't you kind of see that in your life, like when you look at when you have healed from something that seemed unchangeable?
Well, and readers will find out, like what my comments were in even the beginning was just that how much of healing is actually something that you have to do, or how much is it actually the pulling away of the decision that something has been wrong in the first place. And so what I looked at, even in the short space that I had, was, and just to kind of expand on what you're saying too, is like the energy that you actually be is totally whole and already healed. So anything that you've decided needs healing is just, in many ways, a disruption of what already is, because we're already whole. So like healing actually means to make whole again, but that would imply that we can never become not whole, which is not actually a truth. So really, to tie in like what you're saying in your chapter, it's more like when you say let the energy in, to me what that actually refers to is actually to let go of everything that stops you from letting you be flowing through. Because the energy that you actually are is already gigantic. And I mean, we even had that, just for you guys listening, Eric and I had a conversation this morning, and for those of you guys who don't already know her, she's got this gorgeous, voluptuous, just enormous, sexy energy that has this life, has this sense of like, it has a sense of healing, it has a sense of life on its own. So to me, to hear you saying those words, it's more like, the way I interpret it personally is to actually let go of everything that doesn't let you already perceive that everything that you require is already there. It's letting go of all the shit that's in the way of not actually restoring. Because to me, like the universe has that sense of homeostasis, is that reorienting all the time to the highest and best good of whatever is. And anything that isn't actually reorienting to that, there's just something in the way that's distorting it or not letting it be. But the energy of the universe is full of life and expansion. So I love it.
And I'm going to go, Sadie, I'm going to thank you for coming, and I'm going to switch because Donna Labar has shown up, and we're going to move to our next author, and that couldn't have been a more perfect segue, which I will explain. So thank you, Sadie. Sadie Lake wrote the most gorgeous introduction, and she right now is producing 2 books. So get with her if you have any interest in children or conception.
Yeah. I'll just put a plug in real quick before you go. We have one book that's actually on conception, fertility, sort of that beginning of life, and another that's on parenting, and it's really looking at what else is possible for us beyond what we've been delivered to think that that is all that's possible. So
more to come on that.
Yay! We'll have fun.
And you know,
my cheering audience back there. I was actually my house alarm. My door must have gotten open somewhere else in the house, but it goes, yay! Perfect segue. Bye, Erica.
Thank you. Bye. So Donna Labar, I love that segue. We couldn't have planned it more perfectly. I love one of the things that Donna talks about. Donna has a gift with people who suffered from huge diseases. And when I first met her, she's like, well, you know, if you had a cut, would it heal, right? So Donna, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
So tell us a little
I hear
bit.
my story.
I know. And we have, I have to say, we're getting kind of crunchy with time. We have about 8 or 9 minutes. So why don't you just give us a quick, and Ashley's on next. So Donna, why don't you tell us, in your kind of just what your gift of healing and kind of where people can go if they want to start healing a really big, juicy sickness.
Well, I have really just focused on some real primary things all along, not any diets or anything, just primarily how your body works to heal itself. Enzymes, so people's digestion works better, they absorb their nutrients and minerals, and I work on alkalinity, so their body is calm and not inflamed, and so they don't have acid issues. And working on those basic things kind of is a backdoor approach to helping with reducing their stress and helping their sleep, and
Isn't that beautiful?
so all kinds of issues that come with most chronic illnesses. So, so I do simple natural health, simple natural healing, working with alkalinity, enzymes, and anti-inflammatory eating, and that's mostly one thing we all agree on is getting your veggies. Every diet out there, no one is against getting your vegetables. So I'm working on getting people to have more of a plant-based diet, and a higher percentage of their diet being plant-based, and watching
Ashley, can you mute?
really just
That's awesome.
Okay.
Mute?
Yeah, can you mute right now? Let me see. We're getting some weird noises. I'm going to try to figure out if it's you or Donna. Donna? Okay, that was, yeah. Okay. So I send people to your website all the time. So I want to just share with people that with Donna, there's this gift of just the body. Just tell us a little bit the role of alkalinity, because most of this book is really interested in kind of talking to your body and listening to your body, but I feel like with your work in alkalinity, there's something that when I found out from you the information you shared with me about the alkalinity and the power of that, tell us a little bit about the power of that, and it's okay to use the cancer word.
Okay. Well, cancer doesn't grow in an alkaline environment, but it spreads like wildfire in an acidic environment. So it definitely piqued my interest many, many decades ago, and I've studied it ever since, and tried to appeal to people's sense of learning about alkalinity, because our body, just like our body tries to keep a temperature of 98.6, it tries to keep a blood pH balance 7.3 or close to that number. So any variation from that can have someone sick, or it can lead to death. So so the alkaline pH balance, our blood is slightly alkaline, and so if we eat to support that, it really keeps us from having inflammatory illnesses, and it helps us come back to health. Or if we're already pretty healthy, it helps us stay healthy, keeps us from having acid reflux or weight gain, puffiness, bloatedness. So I really that's the core of my message, is to get alkaline and to get more plant-based diet into your lifestyle. And in doing that, you do end up getting more enzymes in your diet, and the enzymes help your body to digest easily, help it to make your hormones and secrete other enzymes that you need, and really your insulin, which is a big problem in the United States, getting your blood sugars in balance, and and getting your insulin to produce at a optimum rate and when it's needed. All of this is important, and all of it's tied back to alkalinity. So I just keep sticking with that tune.
I love it. Well, I'm so joyful you could join us as an author on the energy of healing. This book, I think, definitely has been definitely going to be a gift for everybody who reads it. Is going to learn something that's kind of calling to them. And thank you, Donna, for taking the time from Pennsylvania tonight.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Oh, you too. Our next guest is Ashley Stamatinos, and Ashley is an energy sensitive, and she's just kind of like one of those people who's my guiding light in the world. So I look at how Ashley navigates being a sensitive, and tonight's a full moon, which I think does actually.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your chapter, What If You Could See What I See? Wow. Yeah. What if you could see what I see? What does that mean?
And Donna, I also wanted to say that was so exciting listening to what you had to share, because I also have gone alkaline and changed my life. So I'm so excited to read your chapter too.
Oh, great. Thank you.
That's very exciting. Very, very cool information, I'm sure.
Oh, and yeah, actually, I'm just going to tell everybody, and I know we can't do this for every single person. We'll start sounding like a commercial, but DonnaLabar.com.
Oh, yeah.
She has recipes and herbs. She has all these free things. Like, see, we got a what? So, anyways, hang out with Donna. And Ashley, why don't you tell us about being a sensitive and what that means?
So I started back in 2001, really. I had moved to Manhattan just a couple days before 9/11, and my body was very, very sick. And I had fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and chronic pain, and I was absolutely debilitated by these health issues, and my doctors did not think I was going to get better. And I've noticed a couple other people throughout this Google Hangout have had similar stories where through dishealth came some really beautiful changes and awakening, and that's very much a part of my story. Through that dishealth, found holistic wellness and alternative health and energy healing. And what happened was, when I was really ill at that time, before I started getting better, I actually started to see energy, and to see the energy not only just around people, but I started to see spirits, and I started to see deceased loved ones, which I think you have experienced with Erica as well. Oh, you might be paused. But it was a really interesting experience for me to have such an awakening from a place of dishealth. Are you able to hear me, or am I stuck?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay.
We were stuck. We were stuck for a minute.
Okay. I saw a paused face, so I wasn't sure if I was as well.
Yeah, I think I have too many windows open there. How does that work? Is that better?
Yeah, perfect, actually. Yeah, little tiny changes. So for me, that was my awakening, and I started to see things. And I was practicing with friends and family, and I noticed that things like I would be with friends and their friends that I had never met, and I would start to see things like balls of energy in people, and they would ask me, what do you see? I became kind of that person at the party where you're like, oh, what do you see around me if you see energy? You know how that goes. So I played with that for a little bit, and I would tell people, and I remember one of the very first moments where it was so shocking that I was actually having a validation, that I was really truly seeing something that could make an impact in people's lives, is I saw these balls in front of this woman. She was about 40 years old and had no experience with what I was doing, and I just told her what I saw, and her eyebrows were raised, and she looked at me and she said, I have 2 tumors in the 2 places where you just pointed out. And so at that point, I mean, I just was shocked.
That's in her chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just saw it. You saw it energetically.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. How can that help us heal when we have that sensitivity? And I'm just tuning into the vibrations of people listening now and people listening in the future. I can actually do this. I'm actually gifted in that. And I can feel people saying, okay, I feel things, I sense things, I know things. And I can tell that by being a sensitive on this planet at this time, I can get sick. Because I suck too much of people's stuff. Like, I'm too caring. I want to solve this. I want to solve that. I want to bring light to this. I want to heal this. It's like, oh my gosh. So, because I'm just pretty sure that people who are interested in the energy of healing, it's very possible you're listening and you are a healing individual. And so what do we do when we have all these senses and we perceive all this stuff? What can we do to keep ourselves healed?
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest misconceptions that I've ever heard, and I'll tell you, I am a very big empath, and an empath is a person who is highly sensitive to the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of the people around them. What really makes you an empath is that you actually feel them as if they're your own. So almost all people who are prone to being interested in healing and wanting to help save the world and heal the world, and they feel they have a bigger purpose, are very much so empaths and feel everything around them. And like you said, it can actually make you sick, which is what happened with me when I was in New York at 9/11. I was taking on all of those health issues of the people around me. Not even so much the health issues, but also the pain, the suffering, the trauma.
Sorrow, the trauma. Yeah. All that loss. Like, I could feel. Do you know what's so fascinating is I don't watch TV news because I just haven't ever. I don't either. I was a news reporter, but I create news.
That's great.
Different. But so that morning of that incident, I got up at about an hour before it happened, and I went and I turned the TV on, and I actually saw it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's strange in and of itself. And then I'm kind of interested now because actually I don't think until now, it's like the whole pain of the country started getting. Wow, that's really interesting. So what is it? I mean, I can still see it. So what is it that maybe let's do something right now to help bring light on this?
Yeah. A lot of people actually started feeling a high amount of empathy towards not only the situation but the people. And what we want to do is we want to try really hard not to become emotional sponges, where we feel that by taking on the pain and suffering of the people around us that we're actually helping them or healing them, because that's a misconception. People need to deal with their own stuff, and by us taking it on ourselves, we are only hurting ourselves. So what we can do is empower ourselves, strengthen ourselves, and allow ourselves to open up to receiving healing energy from the earth, from the universe, from all of the plants, from the molecules around us, open ourselves up to receiving. Yeah, you can feel that as I say it, right?
It feels good.
Yeah, it feels good, and we don't allow ourselves to receive because we feel like we need to always be givers and give until we're totally depleted, and that shows we've helped everyone. Well, what if we are actually the greatest gift to the world, to the people around us, to everything, to our businesses, to our spouses, to our children, to everything, if we actually choose to start receiving? That shift may sound simple, but it is one of the biggest things we can do to empower ourselves, to allow ourselves to get healthy, and to actually create more health and healing with everyone around us too.
Oh, I just love it.
Yeah.
That is really beautiful. And you actually go through in your chapter and you talk about that letting the molecules contribute. Now I'm gonna read this.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay. Do I look okay? I look blue on my own screen, so.
You look lovely.
Now I walk through life asking the sky, the earth, all of the molecules, and everything around me to contribute to me. I open myself up to receive the energy all around me that would like to gift to me. It's as simple as opening yourself up to this and choosing it. I'm all about making things easier and not overcomplicating this. You don't need to get into your head and figure this out. Just open yourself and receive. These energy exchanges occur throughout every moment of my life. Ooh. Ooh,
Yeah.
talk about that unlimited energy, because I have to say, Ashley gets things done. Ashley is a mover and shaker, man. She does not sit still. You know, if you want something done, and it doesn't matter. Now, she won't say yes if she can't, but if she can get something done,
It's
tell us a
true.
little bit about that.
Yeah, it's true. And by being in this space of constantly choosing, because the choice is a really big part of it, by choosing to open up to receiving, I have found that I can stay up much later. I can accomplish much more in a shorter amount of time. I can be much more productive, and my creative juices are off the charts. I am inspired by everything. I walk outside and the trees are inspiring. You know, people's interactions around me are inspiring. I mean, it's a really different place to reside, and it doesn't have to be a place where you every once in a while reside. It can be a place where you are constantly in the choice, constantly choosing to receive from everything around you, receiving the love, the gratitude, receiving the healing energy, receiving the kindness, and also choosing to be that contribution to others. And I think a big part of the chapter is truly focused on allowing people to shift their perspective into allowing themselves to choose to receive, because so many of us don't choose to receive.
You know, I just had a funny idea, because almost none of the book is about business. But you know what? I'm guessing I'm tuning into some of the healers in the audience who might need to know, like, how can I be a healer and still make money? Or how can I, you know, tell us a little bit about, like, that thing of, like, wealth and healing, and just kind of, maybe I feel like there's a lot of myths around that whole area. Feels really interesting, and I don't, you know, the book doesn't really talk about, you know, that very much, but I do feel like that's a gift that our listeners might really like hearing from you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, so I'm a holistic wellness practitioner, teacher, speaker. So I'm absolutely that you know, like you, Erica, you do it with your business and I do it with my business. It doesn't matter actually what you're offering so much as if you're in that space of being a healer and offering things. I think maybe one of the biggest things that I've seen with when I'm coaching people and that I'm getting from the people who are listening is they have a lot of trouble receiving financial exchange for their services. A lot of people feel a lot of guilt. And so what if actually you feeling guilty was stopping them from receiving all that they could from your services? What if you were if you started to allow yourself to recognize that guilt was a lie, and if you were able to take off the blinders and ask yourself, if I wasn't feeling guilty, what would I be aware of? If I charge this amount of money, if I asked for this amount in exchange for my services, and I allowed myself to feel very confident and worthy of receiving it, how much more of a gift would that be to the person on the other end of this, the person who's reciprocating a service with you, whatever it might be? Wouldn't that allow them to open up to actually receiving more of what you have to offer, no matter what the price is? Something like that. I think that's one thing. And also, you know, a lot of the things that the judgments and the decisions we make about how much we can receive within our business are limiting us. So if we take a look and inventory the things that we have judged as, you know, decisions about, like, this is how large my business can get, or this is how much I can receive, or, you know, this makes me whatever it might be. Look at whatever those decisions and judgments you've made about your business, and then let them go, destroy them, and allow yourself to ask yourself, what else is beyond that? What else can I create beyond this? If I was willing to receive even more, how much bigger of a contribution could I actually be to the people out there who are waiting for me to put down these barriers and put down these boundaries and allow myself to actually shine and show, you know?
Well, you know what? Since I have you, and our next guest is coming up, she's getting ready, Laura. I'm gonna pull Ashley. I want a little bit more from you, okay? I love these things, you know, because if nobody else is in the audience, I'm learning.
It's also interesting.
Tell me, okay, so when I switched to bestseller, right? I said I'm interested in having the books be bestsellers. And you know what? I have to tell you, Donna Labar, who's still on there, she bought this book for me, and I think it was 2012 or something when I first met her. And she's like, oh, you know what? I need this because it's going to help people who are in the caring profession because it's happiness and it helps people feel good. And so she bought it for me. She gave me cash. I just met her, and there's still something in me, Ashley, that like. I love doing the books and stuff, and there's still this thing, and I'm not like I'm not knowing what it is really, where it's still hard to sell the books. I want the books to sell for all the authors to be on bestsellers. Like I'm tuned into charging it so every one of you can become a bestseller. And there's still something in me about selling books that still
Yeah. So what I'm getting with that is, you know, so anytime there's one of those distractor kind of feelings like, I'm wondering, so what is beneath them is your awareness and your potency. So they're always stopping you from shining through with as potent and powerful and as aware as you truly are capable of being. So do you have any fears about if you were as potent as you're capable of being, what might happen then?
Right.
I wonder if there's anything around that, because for some of us, we think, you know, if we actually step into our power and potency, our whole lives might change, or we might hurt someone because we're so powerful. And we have all these fears around it that stop us from actually stepping into being that potency that attracts all those sales and attracts all of that, you know, abundance, you know, because it feels more like that. Like it feels more like, does that resonate at all?
Yeah, because I think lately I've been having so many beautiful things have been showing up, and I'm very conscious of trying to kind of lower the barriers and letting more good things in. Yeah. And then when I was looking at the book selling, it's like there's a resistance. Like someone was asking me yesterday, well, how did you do the bestseller? And I'm like, well, you know, ask me about 15 years of my life, right? It's like, how do I make a good record, or how do I go into a studio and mix a good song if I've been doing it 15 years? I'm not going to tell you in like a minute how you do it. But it was like, but even in that energy, can you feel that kind of, that energy wasn't a glowing, yummy, happy, oh, you know, I just like sing that back as loud as I can, right? It was like there was still some stuff, but thank you. This is really helpful. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the energy of it. And Laura will bring you on in about 2 minutes. So thank you for that. And just kind of give us let's give that whole energy that I just brought up, let's give that a poof. Let's give that a poof. Let's let that go, because who does that belong to?
Yeah. Destroy all of that.
Yeah, so what if every single author of The Energy of Healing was a best-selling author in their own right? So every single light in this back of this book, every single one of these individuals was given so much light, and their energy healed so many more people. And let's just invite that whole, everything that you brought, and everything that Donna brought, and everything that Stephanie brought, and everything, let's bring all that in and let this healing energy help more people. And when are you on TV next? Is that coming up?
Oh, it's coming up in June.
Yeah.
In June, and over 5 million viewers now. The show is getting bigger and bigger. The Ask Bon Bon show. Wow. And I was able to show the Energy of Expansion book, the beautiful #1 best-selling book that you so wonderfully invited me to be into.
Well, I can't wait to see that, and thank you for coming, Ashley. And Laura, do we have audio on you?
Thank you for having me.
Do we? Can you hear?
I can. Welcome.
Yay!
Yay! How are you?
I'm excellent.
Oh, I'm so glad you could come today. This is so much fun. Laura invited me to be on a happiness summit and ended up becoming an author.
That's exactly what happened.
So tell us a little bit about your chapter, Laura.
So my chapter is really about, I was one of those people that up until, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, healing to me meant you had a cut. And it was or a sore or an open wound or you needed medical attention. That's how I held healing. And I had an opportunity after 17 years in the corporate world to take a different path. And it was a little bit of a shock to me, the path that I ended up on, but I'm loving it. And really what it got me to see was that healing for me is really bringing me back to, or bringing people back to their core essence of what they came into this world as. So I feel like we get born into this world, we're at a certain vibration, and then things happen to us, like our parents have expectations of us, our teachers have expectations of us, our friends have expectations of us, and we have all these opportunities to put on these expectations and to dim our lights a little bit. So we might, for example, think we don't really deserve to get money for selling books because we love creating them, or we might think similar thoughts, and so we take them on. And it's fascinating to me to see how so much of who we are gets developed before we're even 13 years old. Like our brain, our ability to think hasn't even fully gelled, and yet we've made these conclusions that live in our body. So to me, healing is really about releasing the unconscious beliefs that are running your life so that you can live the life that you want to live. That's the healing message from me.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about, in your chapter, you talk about, I think you talk about your son, right?
I probably do. I have a son who is a professional freestyle skier. And he loved to ski. He always was in the park on the mountain, and he took himself out of a program he was in because he found other people that were right there for him to ski with. But when he was 14, he basically said to us, you know, in order for me to do what I really want to do in life, I have to move to Portland, Oregon. Now, I live in Boston, so Portland, Oregon is 3,000 miles away. Yeah. And we're like, hey, you're 14. You wouldn't brush your teeth if I didn't remind you to every night. Like, what? How are you going to do that? But he had such a passion and such a love for the sport that, you know, my husband and I talked about it, and we're like, we have to give him this chance. Like, this is his dream. This is what he wants to do. And so we packed him up, and we shipped him off. And, you know, he had some great adventures, and he had some harrowing adventures, and he's got some pretty serious scars all around his face. And no matter what happened to him, that child came back stronger. And right now he'll say to you, you know, he said, we had a conversation today, and he said, perseverance really isn't about continuing to do something. It's about doing something, getting knocked down, but getting back and coming back stronger. And you know, he's an example of me. Like, I know he was brought, you know, as my child because he had a lot to teach me about. He stands for whatever it's going to work for him, and he'll work with you to make it happen. But he is like, you know, crystal clear and ironclad. This is where I need to go. So how can you help me get there?
Wow.
And he's just like, you can see his light shining because of that. And that's my wish for everybody, is that they can get so
we're having a little mute thing. Wow. Stephanie, you muted Laura. Can we have you unmute Laura? Wow. I don't know how she did that. Laura? Laura, will you call back real quick? Will you call back? We can't hear you at all. Yeah, call right back. Hang up. Yeah.
Does that work?
Oh, okay, we got you back. Yeah, somehow one of the other guests, I don't know how she did it, but she muted you. I'm sure she was just clicking a button, so it's all better now. So we lost the last 45 seconds, but let's take this moment to go to your chapter, and let's just talk a little bit about, I want to jump ahead to your, because we have about 5-6 more minutes, to your healing tips, because I really love the energy you put into them. And I feel like they come from such a true place. And I feel like, why not give healing tips on the energy of healing marathon?
Okay, so my first tip is every day protect yourself energetically. And that might look different to different people. Some people like to put a bubble around themselves. Some people, I have smudging spray everywhere in my house, and I can't walk anywhere without using it. And so it's just a way of surround yourself by light every day before you leave. And put yourself in that light, whether it's the light of God, the angels, whatever you believe in. Just put yourself in that light. So that's like an awesome thing to do. Just start your day that way. The second thing that's really important is to keep your environment clear. So you can be clear in your energy, but if you're in an environment where people are releasing their energy left and right, and it happens everywhere. It could not even be your energy. Somebody could come into your house and have a jealous reaction over your kitchen, and that jealousy lives in your kitchen, and you really don't want to be eating that. So it's a really good idea to have a practice of cleaning your house, and whether that's smudging it every once in a while, and if you don't know how to smudge, YouTube is an awesome tool because they'll show you all the tips and techniques. And there's sprays that you can use.
I want to pause you right there. I really feel like what Laura just said is like at the heart of the book. I really just want to take a moment and really look at the energy of energy, the power of energy, the power of energy. Because what you just said, someone walks in and they feel a certain thing, or they have a certain thing, or you walk into work and someone gives you a look and it's a dirty look and they wish you'd gotten there 7 minutes earlier because when they were a child they had to be there on time, and how come you could be there 7 minutes, right? All that stuff has palpable negativity, has palpable things. And what you just said to me is so amazing. Like that, the cleaning of the energy that we can't see. And I know it sounds like such a basic aha, but maybe just, can you, I would like you just to get into that bit a little bit deeper. Like, what happens when someone comes in and they feel jealousy or they feel something and they release it all over your stuff? Is it like a skunk spray?
It is like that. You might have noticed that you have a place in your house that people don't go, and sometimes that's in a corner, or like you're in a room and you can't get comfortable in a room, and a lot of times you say, oh, well, I don't have a comfy chair there, or I have not this there or not that there. But a lot of the time it has to do with there's an energy there that's not supportive, and so you actually can't be in that room. You get up and move around, so it can really affect you. And so it's important to get it cleared out. And you'll notice when you clear it out that suddenly you feel like you can breathe. And remember, our energy field is vibrating out in front of us. So before we walk in a room, our energy field knows what's in that room. So it can feel it before, our body processes it before it ever gets to our mind. So our mind is not even conscious of the energy that's around us.
Wow.
But our body knows it, and it shows up. Like if you have this restless feeling and you're not ever at home in your home, go smudge your home. Get a clearing spray. The other thing, if you don't have any of that, take a bell, take a rattle, walk around your house. Just clap. Put on some bright music and clap around your house, and just set the intention that any energy that's not there to serve you is free to leave, and bring in peace and joy and love, whatever it is you want to surround yourself with. So just go twirling and dancing and clapping around your house, and it's okay if the neighbors see you, because you'll have a nice clean house.
I love it, Laura. That is so beautiful. You know, that's very meaningful to me personally. So there's never any accidents. So I'm just going to give you a big hug for that, because that was a very big validation for me. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you bringing that for all of our listeners, but also for me personally, because that validation, you know, one of the things that I see as a core running through that I've seen from so many of the authors is the intuitive take, that whisper of spirit, you know, that, that. Do you want to, I know I jumped in the middle of your healing tips, but do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think you're also really good at teaching that.
Yeah, so the thing is that we all have this intuition, and it's kind of funny that I'm saying this because I was the girl 10 years ago that said, really? I have a spirit guide? We all? No, that couldn't be, because I grew up in such a structured world. Like, this was allowed, that was allowed. We all have this inner knowing. And when we have this inner knowing and we don't pay attention to it, that's when we start to go off the rails. Like, that's when we start to feel like we're obligated to do things and life isn't fun, or we're stuck in a rut. So the next time you're in a place and you don't, so here's what I do. When I don't want to make a decision, I think that I don't know. But the reality is, if you would just close your eyes for 5 seconds, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself what you really want to do, the answer will appear. It will be very clear. And a lot of times we don't want to admit it to ourselves because it means we might have to disappoint somebody. We might have to say, no, I don't really want to go to dinner, or no, I don't have time to have coffee with you, or no, I can't do one more thing. And we don't want to do that. So instead, we don't honor and value ourselves. So it's like we treat other people often way more importantly than we treat ourselves. We don't want to hurt them, but we'll hurt ourselves all over the place. And so that little whispering, that little, what is it? When you just know, I know I'm supposed to be here, or I know I'm supposed to do this, and it makes no sense. The more you follow it, the louder it gets, and the more it brings joy and happiness and freedom to your life.
Oh, Laura, this was just so beautiful. I am so glad you're in the book. This is The Energy of Healing. Laura's chapter, she's right here.
Yep.
She's very close to me. Place in my heart. So go get the book and make Laura a #1 best-selling author. Go get the book and make her a best-selling author. What could be better than that? Thank you for coming. And it looks like my last 2 guests have come together to party with us.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
How did you 2 do that?
Sneaky.
Well, everyone, you are in for an amazing treat. Oh my gosh, Heather, Sylvia, and me, I don't even know what's going to happen. If you haven't gotten any healing yet, you will be healed. Not just playing. Oh my gosh, I love the next 2 authors. These 2 women, I actually, what's interesting, you guys are together in the book too.
Yeah.
My glasses today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am so joyful to have you on this call and this hangout. And we're going to be together for a little while. And what we're going to do, we're just going to sit there in that space of healing. And I'd love us to just ask, what else could we bring to this hangout to just shift the energy and the vibration of healing up on the planet? Let's just, And I think I had Heather first, but we can just play like it's a radio show, ladies. And Heather, do you want to just kind of kick us off on this whole healing adventure, because you are a creator of magnitude?
Thank you for noticing. Thank you so much for having us, Erica. It's really wonderful to be here, and it's such a pleasure to be included in this book and to contribute to this topic that is near and dear to my heart, something that I love and has really just the topic of healing with awareness of energy is something that I've used in my own life that has just, it changed everything. I mean, it was really awareness of energy that gave me the keys to healing myself of things that I was told were not possible to heal, and just to enjoy living. It's like it gave me so many other tools that were applicable in every area of my life, with the one piece of becoming aware of energy and how to start working with the energy of things. So, so when the title was Energy of Healing, I'm like, yes.
You're like, oh, that's too juicy. I'm really, really, really busy and I can't say no.
That's the kind of book I want to be in. So it's like, oh my gosh.
Your chapter is basically, you know, your chapter in particular, Heather, is one of the only chapters like itself, of course. And it basically is just like healing tool, healing tool, healing tool, healing tool. Like you just basically went in and said, okay, let's do this. So why don't you just take us on a little journey into healing, and let's just pretend it's someone who, oh, okay, I'm getting someone who can't leave their corporate life. They can't make the thing. They're getting pulled. They know there's more. They can't get there. There's this huge bridge. They can't gap it. Well, let's talk about making that, like, how do we shift into that?
Well, so one of the biggest things with healing of any kind is how often we are looking for other people to be the source of that healing, and the answer, and the expert, and the person to get us through it. But what I found is that everything required for healing, we actually already have in our own awareness, our own choices, our own body. I'd say the healing comes from within ourselves, but it's a little different than that. You know, it's like I hesitate to say that because so many people have used that idea of the healing comes from within, but it still somehow isn't exactly about them. Their choice. It's like,
the feeling when you said that was almost stagnant. Like if I just dig a hole deep enough in my mind, I'm going to find a little bit of gold somewhere deep in there. And I feel like it's more of the flowing of the energy when we look at, like, what do we let in? What do we let through? What do we listen to? What do we tune out? You know, it feels more like kind of like the cover. I mean, it feels more like that.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's such a beautiful example of the energy of what healing really is, which is everything you said, the movement of things, the change of things, the flow of things. It's not an answer. And that was one of the biggest things for me when I first began this journey of learning about energy and considering the possibility of healing and what it would take, is that nobody's answers worked for me. And every book that I read, every expert, every doctor, everyone, they all had answers, and maybe a piece of it would work or a piece of it I could use, but most of it I couldn't. Most of it would just stick me more. Their answers did not work for me. So for me, part of that flow and opening up a different possibility is the questions that I can ask. And the part of it where it's about me is also that I'm the source of a different possibility in my willingness to go on the journey of discovering what it takes. Not that there's going to be one single answer or one thing, but am I willing to go on the journey of discovering what it takes to change and undo everything that I did to create the disease, the limitation, the problem, the disharmony of me or my body. So instead of looking for other people's answers, I started to look at, what do I know? What am I aware of? What am I asking for? Like, because no one else knows me. Like, no one else knows my inner world and what goes on in my head and the things I've been through in my life. Like, I'm the only one who's been there the whole time, right?
I had a cat once for 22 years, and she knew a lot.
Right.
She knew
the house
like,
plant.
yeah, I was like, she knew me more than most.
Yeah.
But,
but she still didn't know everything, right?
and when you talk about that, Heather, I want to get into that. One of the things in your chapter that I love is this willingness. And can you talk about like just the shift into willingness, like just that, like just expand on that. That feels like something. It just feels really nice and different, like to focus on it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's really, it's so key. People really don't get the value of their willingness to, like I said before, go on the adventure of finding out what it takes to heal for them personally. And willingness is such a powerful choice, and it's such a powerful capacity and quality that we naturally have within us. It's naturally who we are if we're willing to choose it and use it. And so how it came about for me is that I had asthma, and I was highly allergic to dairy and dairy products and corn products. And if I ate a single bite of anything with those ingredients, I would instantly get an asthma attack. So it was very intense, very severe. And so with trying everything and not being able to use anyone else's answers, I made a demand of myself that no matter what it takes, I'm changing this. And that's where, so that
you know, some people don't know access tools, so let's just sit with that also. Like, whatever it takes, I'm willing. I'm asking for change.
Yeah. So a demand of yourself is really different. So a demand of yourself, for me, what it looked like is literally no matter what I had to go through, no matter how long it took, no matter what I had to look at, no matter what I had to become aware of about myself or anyone else, no matter what I had to change, no matter what I had to choose, I was willing to do it to get to where I no longer had asthma. So to me, that marriage of demand of myself and the willingness was the catalyst for everything. That moment, and it was actually a moment for myself. I sat down with myself and kind of had a conversation. It was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm not willing to keep living this way. And I don't care what it takes. I don't care what I have to go through. I'm willing to go through anything to change this and do whatever it takes. And so that demand of myself and the willingness, that combination of that was it was the opening the doors to the universe. It opened everything to start to bring in the information, the people, the experiences, and the energies that would allow me to unravel and unlock everything that was creating the asthma. And it wasn't one thing, it was several.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what showed up for me when you said that. Okay. So, all right. A lot of what we're doing on this call is we're helping people unleash their health. We're helping people unleash their and I got this picture of what if I'm a beast? What if I'm and I don't mean a nasty beast. I mean like a potent beast. Like, what if my energy is so powerful it can like change the entire universe? Like, I feel like when you talk about that, I get this thing where you stand in your power, Heather. I mean, I know you. You stand in the power, and you are a powerful change agent. And I look at the question that I'm getting, which I'm figuring since I'm interviewing you, and I've been interviewing people since 1984.
Yes, you know a little bit about this.
I got this, baby. No. So what if in unleashing this beast shows up? Like this beast, this like hungry beast, like they want a better house and they want a better car and they want more money and they want more this and they want to have hit songs or they want to have this or that. It's like, what happens when that's unleashed? Because that's kind of what's showing up for me.
Yeah, well, that's very well put, because what was unleashed was all the potency that was required to change it. But it wasn't just potency. It opened the doors to everything that was required. Sometimes it was vulnerability and being just so raw and uncomfortable in the face of whatever was going on. Sometimes it was the courage to keep taking another step when I felt like I was dying or was going to die or for sure would die if I took another step, and taking that next step anyway. It did give me that kind of ferocity for myself and my own body and my own life and the being that I am. It was like, it was taking all the things that I'd been using against myself and turning it around and starting to use it for myself instead.
Wow.
Which I've never said before. That's really, it's, you know, from that question, it's like I really am getting how I started to use the potency I do naturally have, and each of us has. We're all so powerful. Our bodies are so powerful, us as beings are so powerful that we are actually the ones creating our life. We're the ones creating our current health situation. Like, our choices actually create what's going on in our body.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to Heather Smith. Heather Smith also wrote a novel, and now she's writing the next one. And her novel will be out later this year, and it is stunning. You know, Harry Potter, move over. You know, like, this thing's going to change the world, and it's going to have a wild and crazy beast come out. And I can't wait for that. Oh my God, I'm like feeling so excited for you, Heather, for everything you have in store. And I happen to know she did get a new house, and she's changed so many things. And if I had like 5 hours, it wouldn't be enough time with Heather. But I'm going to turn it over and bring in our next guest, Sylvia, and Sylvia Puentes. Sylvia is that, right, Heather? Did I? Oh, man.
Yummy, yummy.
Ay, Dios mío.
I'll use Heather's line. Thank you for noticing.
And now we're going to switch to Spanish. Sorry. Yeah, we didn't warn you about that, no? So, Sylvia, you know, by this time in this almost 3-hour marathon, I'm a little dizzy, so why don't you introduce the chapter for us?
Well, thank you, Erica. Thank you. I mean, everyone. And I'm so grateful that I got to sit next to Heather as she did her piece. I'm delighted that I've actually have heard her chapter. She's actually read it out loud. So, yes, please look out for her novel coming. And really grateful for every single person in this book and the creation of this book. Like, one of the things that I'm aware of is that the energy that we can all contribute to creating change in the world, this book is one example of that. And so when I think about healing, it really is, wow, where can we come together, drop our barriers, be out of that space of judgment, and really allow ourselves to contribute and receive from each other. Like, what if healing is that? What if that capacity is there within each one of us? So for me, in my chapter, I talked a lot about like the stories that I had about what healing was, that I bought it was in that search of like Heather said, right? Everybody else had the answers, whether it was religion, whether it was, you know, the curanderas that my mother took me to when I was young. And
that gave me chills when you talked about that. I was like, you had this like thing, and I've had that happen in my own life, where all of a sudden I remember, like, I grew up on a TV set. Like, that's why I'm comfortable in a TV studio. Oh. And it's like you were talking about the curanderos, right? You're talking about the healing energy, and your mom used to bring you, and she'd give you plants, and you're like, can't I just go to the thing and go to, like, the drugstore, and can't you just pay money and fix me? Oh, my God, I love that in your chapter. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, I mean, I can now appreciate it, but at the time, growing up as a teenager, it was like, what is that? Like, having no sense of really seeing tapping into what my grandmother knew, my mother knew, and now it's like they were aware of something as well. And yet, yes, it is the plant and it can contribute something, but it was often looked at, you need something outside of you. No one ever asked me, it's like, how are you feeling? What do you require? Would you like this? Would you like that? It was always, we're going to take you, we're going to give you this. This will make you better. I didn't think I was sick. It was actually, the funny story is, they thought I was too thin. I was too thin. Something's wrong with you. You are too thin.
Wow. No one has said that to me for a really long time.
But it was interesting. So how often are we, quote unquote, diagnosed, or we're judging ourselves that something is wrong and it isn't? Like, are we really asking ourselves, like, you know, and I know this is an awkward question, but it's like, what's right about this I'm not getting? Like, what is the awareness underneath of what I'm, quote unquote, feeling or aware of in this moment in my body that might not be the backache, it might not be a stomach ache, it might be something else. So it's like the gift of the Access Consciousness tools are really about being in the question and getting, I mean, it's almost like, what if we could laugh about it and in the sense of like, wow, what is this? What if it's not as significant as we're making it be? And I know, I know there's people that are having experiences with their body that are intense, but at the same time, it's like, one of the stories I have about my father, who was diagnosed with lung cancer, was an incredible gift, because when he walked out of the office, he looked at me, he's like, it's not it. That's not it. And, you know, someone who was a nurse at the time said, like, well, a lot of people are in denial. And I just kept listening to my dad, and he was so certain. He's like, it's not it. It's not. And yet he kept going through the steps, and he looked at me one time, and he's all like, what do you think I should do? And in that moment, I was like, whatever you choose, I will support you. Like, I didn't give him an answer. He was looking for me to give him what I thought he should do.
And that was the family healer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gift of that for myself and for him is that he kept staying into what he knew. Well, after 2 biopsies, they discovered it wasn't cancer. It showed up as a lung infection, and the doctor asked to go back in to get a live sample, and he refused. He's like, nope, you're not going in again. And he threw a big party, big banda, music, family, celebrating really and inviting us all to go, wow, what if we do know? What if you don't have to give up your knowing? What, you know, so it was a huge celebration of really trusting ourselves. And, you know, my dad has always been one who says, don't give up, don't give up. And he demonstrated that in a way that I don't know that that I've never seen. And I'm just grateful for that. But it reminds me, it's like, whatever it is that we are experiencing, what would it take to go, what is it that I know here? You know, I think Heather said,
I went through that. You know, I have a personal story on that. It's amazing. I had my daughter, when she was 10, was sick, and she had lost weight, and it was really bad. Her skin had lost its color, and we went to the hospital. We were there almost 3 weeks. They never actually, they were able to find abscesses in her body, and they didn't have the right expert. So, and she was only 10, so they kept bringing in different doctors. And then there was 8-hour shifts. So every 8 hours, there'd be a new doctor, and they'd have new things they wanted to do to my daughter. And they hadn't found out which doctor was the right doctor, right? So there's no specialist yet. It was just whoever was on call. So I remember she'd been up for almost 48 hours, and it's like they kept testing her. And this lady comes in, she wants to do 20 tests.
Oh my God.
And I looked at her, and I said, my daughter is going to sleep, and then she's going to get nourished. And then we can look at it again. I'm not saying no to the test. I'm saying she hasn't slept in 2 days. We've been here. She's 10. I'm not having you go and pull more blood and take more of this and take. And it was just this really bouncy, friendly pediatrician who just thought, well, let's just do 20 more tests. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, she wasn't evil. You know, there was nothing wrong with her. She was doing, you know, we don't know what's going on, so we should test some more. I mean, it wasn't wrong. But I'm like, I know my daughter's body. You know, I'm here next to my daughter. I have a knowing. And it turned out after she got released from the hospital and she healed and everything got better. She's never been sick again. And every single place where I went against the doctors, and every single thing got validated. Everything.
Yeah.
Like, there was not one thing that I chose, and I said no to some things that pissed everybody off. In fact, at one point, they all came in. Like 9 different people came in to have a top difficult one.
Yeah, getting the talking to.
And that's the gift. Talk about like the potency and the willingness to trust you, you know, as the mother, or you know, if you're, you know, being that, yeah, your own body, and being an advocate.
Your body knows more than you might know more. And what a beautiful, beautiful concept, Sylvia, for you to bring to this event. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you.
And the piece too, it's like, you know, wow, it's that space of like, what if you do know? And it might be 20 tests. You'll know if it's that. It's not saying that it's not that. It's not saying that it's not the surgery. It's not saying that. It's just
no. It might be the surgery.
Exactly.
And that's why, and you know, we don't have all week, but it's like when someone gets cancer, everybody in the world has judgments about what they're supposed to do. Yeah. But really, that person, it's time to go inside and start feeling, okay, where do I want to go? Do I want to die? Do I want to let it eat me because maybe I'm ready? Do I want to do every single thing I can? And then no one else can know the right choice. That's what I feel like sometimes it polarizes families, because they're like, don't do chemo because it'll strip your immune system. That's not wrong. But is chemo right if it'll make the tumor smaller so you can cut it out? I mean, you don't know the answer until you're in. I mean, I just feel like you're right. It's like we turn to. I feel like if I could do anything to help people not be polarized over these choices.
Yeah, I was just going to add, so with that, it's like, what if you can include all of it and all the options, and not from a judgment, but from your awareness of what you know is right for you, and be willing to choose that regardless of anyone else's point of view about it, because it is your life and it is your body, and you are the most expert on you.
and here's another question that I love. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, often or has shared with us, and that's when you are quote unquote feeling sick, is to ask yourself, what am I sick of? And it's like, what if the symptoms or whatever you're perceiving in your body, that sense when you're speaking, oh, I'm sick or I'm tired, it's like, what am I sick of? What am I tired of? To really begin to have the awareness of what that is in your life that you are sick of. It might be your marriage, it might be work, and it ends up showing up in your body. But if you're willing to have that courage, the willingness, and make the demand to look at it and go, wow, I'm really sick of work. I'm just really sick of it. And wow, is that still working for me? Or do I have the courage to look at what else can I choose here? And what can I, not like you have to leave it, but what would have to change for you not to have that? So that question for me, I often use it with my son when he's quote unquote feeling well, and I'm okay, well, what are you sick of? And it has him begin to go, oh wow, you know, I am sick of this. And then it just shifts things. So incredible question to ask yourself if you're feeling quote unquote ill. It's like, wow, what am I sick of here?
It's a very powerful question, and that honesty with yourself of whatever it is, like to be able to really look at that, not judge it, and have a moment with yourself and really acknowledge what's true for you. Because whenever you do, that's the keys to your own freedom. Like that's what is. And
I got chills.
Yeah, me too.
Baby.
When you actually address what is, that is like the keys, the doorways, what it takes to change it. When you address what is, then you can change it. If you're saying it's something else that it isn't, you can't handle a lie. You can't change a lie. So honesty with yourself and really, having that vulnerability with yourself is such a powerful key to healing anything. So I'm so glad you said that, because like, good stuff.
We did it. We did a 3-hour healing marathon.
And one other piece, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but one of the energies that I know will contribute to having not only a healthy body and also a healthy planet is, what would it take for all of us to laugh more?
A lot more.
A lot more.
I don't believe in that.
I know you never laugh. You're so serious.
I just go there.
I've played this game, and it's inviting whoever I'm with to laugh for 1 minute. You laugh for 1 minute, and you end up laughing because everyone's laughing. But this, you can tell, you notice the energy changes. So I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but what if we could actually leave everyone with that? What would it take to have that joy and that ease with your body? And what would it take to have more fun and laugh more in your life? And what would that change? Just saying.
Maybe you'll be hot like me. No, I'm just kidding. Wouldn't want that to happen. All right, so this is it. The energy of healing. All these beautiful authors and more. We had some authors with new grandchildren. We had an author from Australia. We had a couple authors that couldn't join us. Go get the book. It's ready for you. Yay. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for coming.
Yay. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.